So as these cars hit the pit road and we get ready for qualifying, we bring you round number 2 of the American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Series live here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live from the infamous Eldora Speedway. Randy Chennis, Justin French, and of course Hugo Louis bringing you all the action in this one. And pretty much last week, Justin, it was all about Alex Bergeron on, well, all the dirt content we had on RaceSpotTV. He won on Monday. He got a strong podium on Thursday and had a big run on Friday Night Dirt Night as well, both in the late models and the sprint cars. This is going to be an entertaining night of action here in Ohio.
Yeah, it definitely is here on this D-shaped track. Going to be a lot of action for sure, and Bergeron again going to be somebody probably to watch throughout this entire event tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how things unfold.
Cars rolling out for qualifying right now on what is probably the most famous half-mile dirt oval in the continental United States. Trevor Rayner, Emil Miller, Brendan Steele, and John Fowler. They're going to be making up qualifying group number 1 here on RaceSpotTV. So we're going to be getting all of that one and getting forward to you here in a moment. It's a full night of cars, full grid of cars once again, just like we saw last week. That means we're talking another long show of action, and we should be getting the green flag here in just a moment, Justin.
Yeah, and that's going to mean there's going to be lots of conditions to watch for here as they get all set to go and warming up throughout the track. I think we're just about to get underway here.
The orange and white car of Trevor Royer, he's going to take the green flag and start his first hot lap here at Eldora. You see him running in the middle of the racetrack right now through corners number 1 and 2. 3 and 4, a little bit higher up, not quite on the cushion, but running well above that midline. Comes across the stripe for his first timed lap at a 14.451. John Fowler at a 14.4, and Emil Miller at a 14.7, and Brandon Steele goes down to a 14.3. So mid to high 14s already the pace right now as we're still getting more laps cycling through. Trevor Royer improves to a 3.05.
Yeah, and you can see they're trying to move through this. Of course, the track's turning clean and tacky, trying to work through this, get the best times as they can. A lot of them using that middle groove going up to the high side as they continue on these laps here, trying to get the best times they can possible.
So Trevor Royer has not yet improved again, like you said, on that 305. 3.74 is what he did last time through. He just came through and he went to a 14.255 on his final lap. And I heard that number 90 machine sputter as he got to the line. So he pushed that right to the limit. John Fowler, he's going to cycle through. He will not improve on that 14.4. And Emil Miller in that Kansas City Chiefs Arrowhead Stadium car is slow down the back straightaway as well. So through the first 4 cars, Royer, Steele, Fowler, and Miller are the current fastest right now. And like you said right there, Justin, as we go in this event, this track's going to get slipperier and slipperier. We've seen last week, both in the sprints and the late models, the first 3 or so groups is typically where the fast times come from. However, that said, Alex Bergeron was in the very last qualifying group on Thursday night in the late models, and he put a pole time in that one. So you can still get good lap times all throughout this event tonight.
Yeah, you can really. It's part driver, of course, part car. But if you have a good driver, of course, you can put in a good time. And that's, of course, as you mentioned, the case with Bergeron, somebody that races dirt cars in real life and somebody that is becoming a rising star in all sorts of forms here on iRacing. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in that final grouping once again here for the sprint cars.
That he is. Second qualifying group rolling out right now. This is going to be Greg Thompson, Brad Nichols, CJ LeVere, and Nate Davis in this one. And once again, another group of entertaining paint schemes on these 360 sprints. They're going to get the green flag. And first driver we're going to see get a hot lap should be Nathan Davis in the 36. Actually, no, it might be Thompson. As he comes off corner number 4, he might really be one to watch. Again, in the middle here in 1 and 2, racetrack hasn't slicked it up at all. Of course, not been enough laps or enough cars on that track surface just yet. 3:13 and Greg Thompson. He's going to cycle through off corner number 4. Let's see what the pace is going to be for this second group of cars. 14.5 for him, so already on the mark. Car behind him of Brad Nichols. He goes to a 14.3, so that's a competitive car right there to keep an eye on. And a 3.75 for LeVere. Both him and Brad Nichols, as well as Nathan Davis, all in the mid-3s. And I take that back. Davis does a 1.8.
Yeah, Nathan Davis using a lot of the higher line, going towards more of the cushion on his runs right now. And then on that time, he set that 14.185 and 186, I should say. He used more of the middle lane to get a good run toward the time. And you're seeing still he's trying to improve on that, still falling down to the 14.2s.
It's going to be one of the things I think as we watch Nathan Davis. That said, as you burn more fuel out of these cars, they will get quicker and quicker. So the potential for a better lap is going to be there for Nathan Davis. Let's see what he does this time. 185, which is going to match if I remember. Yeah, that's the exact same time he did just a couple laps ago. So that has to be so annoying for that number 36 machine there, Justin, to have a lap that good and misimproving by, I mean, just a thousandth of a second.
Yeah, that shows a lot with the composure you have to have as a driver in throughout the service, really, and especially on these dirt tracks. Just got to make sure, of course, as you said, Mensch tied up that time, that you settle back, turn back and say, okay, I know I got a fast car. Now I got to make sure I keep the composure and keep that pace up, though, by the time we get to the heats, as we got more cars all set to go for qualifying here.
Yep, next qualifying group getting ready to roll out on the racetrack. Scott Marr, Derek Layton, Alex Bergeron, and Max Stambaugh are going to be them, and Scott Marr is going to lead them out right now in that number 999 with Derek Layton in the 32A. I'll call it the 32A because that's the number he wishes he had, but we don't support the letters, of course, on the iRacing service, so he just gets to be number 32, except in spirits. And then most importantly, Alex A. Bergeron in that black drill spill number 12. That's the car to watch in this group for sure.
Yeah, definitely somebody to watch for sure, as you see already with the pro license for the Dirt Series right now. So somebody that, of course, is coming off the victory in the first race of the season, or we're going to be looking to try and improve on that and can improve his points totals into the early going of the season as they get all set to go.
So they're going to get the green flag here in this one, and Scott Marr, he'll be the first driver to watch to get a hot lap. He's getting ready to start lap number 1 of his time trials right now and in towards 1 and 2. You see him going down to the bottom, and that's interesting because most of the people we've seen be quick have been up around the top side of the racetrack. He slides up to the top, exiting 2 though, and in towards 3 and 4, goes back up to the top of the racetrack. Let's see what his first lap's going to be here. Going to be a 14.7 for Scott Marr. Derek Layton's going to cycle through to 14.5, and Alex Bergeron, he's going to come across the time beam and do a 14.2. That's good for third right now in the 12, and I think he's going to do better than that.
Yeah, right now setting a very good pace, going all the way to the bottom here as he's going to slide up to the top side. Let's take a look at what the time is, a 14.194, as that moves up to second on the qualifying boards. But
Not anymore. Yeah, Max Stambaugh jumps to that 193, so very competitive cars in this group. Max Stambaugh is coming off corner number 2. Alex cycles through to a 302. He will not improve as Mad Max. He's going to go to a 238 that time around, so no improvements for him. So that 36 car, Nathan Davis, he's going to be a very happy camper right now to have 2 potential drivers like that come out and not be able to pip his 185. Yeah,
it's going to be hard to try and set off that pace. He's especially as you mentioned, as the times in the heat and the time qualifying, I should say, goes on, it gets more and more slicker out there, so it's going to be a bit more difficult to try and match that time as the session goes on.
Next group of cars getting ready to get out there and qualify in this one tonight. Todd LeBout, Derek Walker, David Heileman, and Rob Kurtsetter. They're going to be the next 4 cars we really expect to see out there. And Heileman and Kurtsetter, those are probably the 2 drivers to watch be quick in this group. I think is Todd LeBout is going to lead them out with that Jaegers Harley-Davidson machine.
Yeah, right now getting all set to go as you said. It's going to be interesting to see what the lines choose. Of course, Davis used more of the cushion on the high line of the track here. A lot of more of the times we've seen around those 2, the 14.2s, have been around the middle grooves. So maybe we see some drivers try and use the cushion more and more on this grouping for the qualifying.
Everyone's pretty much out there and pacing right now, and we'll be getting that green flag here in about 10 seconds as Todd LeBout is rolling through corners number 1 and 2, and they typically give that green flag while the first car is somewhere down at that back straightaway. So as he comes off of it, he's going to get the go-ahead. He jumps on that gas pedal, and we are green for qualifying group number 4 in this one. Todd goes to the bottom to get a nice little run down this front straightaway. Let's see what he runs, though, on the time trial lap. Going to be in the middle through 1 and 2 right here, which is typically where we've been seeing most of these cars. Derek Walker, he's running the middle as well. And Robert Kurtzetter getting a little bit down to that lower end. David Heilemann, he's way up top, though, close to that cushion. 14.6 for Todd, 14.2 for Walker. Kurtzetter is going to cycle across the time being a 14.2 as well. And Heilemann's going to go to a 14.4. All 4 cars separated by a few tenths.
Yeah, very close and very fast times right now so far. You can see Heilemann trying to find any kind of time he can, going to the bottom side this time, but does not, in fact, moves up the boards, I should say, by a couple more tenths all the way to 5th.
Everyone's going to continue cycling through on their last. People seem to be slowing down just a little bit, though, as Kurtzetter is going to go to a 2.45. That's an improvement for him. He goes 4th quickest in these time trials. David Heilemann not finding any time just yet. He did that super quick time of a 2.75 and has yet to improve in this as we're coming to the end of this qualifying group. And Checker's going to wave for this quartet of drivers, and I believe we don't have any improvements on their last lap, so they're going to take the positions. They got a lot of competitive times out here tonight, Justin, because you look through, vast majority of our top 10 separated by about a tenth and a half.
Yeah, it says a lot, I should probably say, involving the competitiveness for tonight here for the race. It's going to be very interesting once we get to those heats, again, how they are in race trim, so to speak, instead of during the qualifying paces for the qualifying laps as they get set for the next grouping, of course. Brad Spittle, of course, one of those main drivers to watch, I think, as well as Chris Brenner for this next, as well as a couple others, I should say, for this next grouping.
So, cars getting themselves out there on the racetrack. Next qual group is going to be Craig Levan, Brad Spittle, Tim Smith, Ernie Williams Jr. They're currently waiting on pit road to get the green light from Ernie Wilson. And I think Craig in that pink Panther number 610, he's going to just creep out there in that machine and just sort of cruise for now. Next we have Brad Spidle getting released, and Tim Smith, Ernie Williams Jr. And I have to say, that bright pink number 610, that is an interesting paint scheme on that car.
Yeah, looks pretty interesting for sure from the camera feeds and that. So definitely going to stand out here on this nighttime circuit as he zooms around the track. That's for sure for this one.
Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. I gotta stop before we get copyrights. And Craig Levan, we're going to expect him to take green flag here coming off corner number 2. That is probably going to get immortalized for a long time here on RaceSpot as they get the green flag and run themselves up towards corners number 3 and 4. Does Craig Levan a little bit loose entering? That's going to hurt him, I think. And he starts this, also blips the throttle as he gets back on towards that front straightaway to start his first hot lap here. As he's going to lead himself down the back straightaway in towards 3 and 4. Brad Spidle up along the top. Tim Smith up along the top. Ernie Williams Jr., he was touching the top of the end of the corner, but he slides down to the bottom. Levan's going to go to a 14.7. It's going to be a 14.6 for Brad, who is loose off corner number 4. Tim Smith is going to go down to a 14.2, so quick time from him, 4th quickest, in fact. And Ernie Williams, he's going to go to a 14.6. So right now, it's that number 38 who's quick out of this group, Justin.
Yeah, right along the high side right now, as you can see, just zooming around. In fact, improved on that time to move up to 4th on the board just now, in fact. So as you see, trying to go down and digging it into the bottom side, trying to get it through the slick, up the track. As you see, improving even more. In fact, he's on the top of the boards.
Great time there from that number 38 machine to get down to a 14.169. Let's see if he can do one better. No, he's going to lift out of that one as Checker's pretty much going to get thrown on this qualifying session. So I think Tim had some issues with fuel. Ernie Williams, he's going to come to the conclusion of his lap here. That's going to be a 14.546. Will not be an improvement for him. His best lap was a 14.518. So here, as we get to about the midpoint of the sessions, Justin, 14.169 for Tim Smith. He goes to the top of the board. Splendid lap for him.
Definitely splendid lap, because that is absolutely an impressive one, because that was the fastest by far, going to that bottom groove, coming towards the brim area and the wall area, in fact, just able to go as fast as he could and got the good time. Maybe, as you said, running a bit low on the fuel, maybe adjusted that, but who knows, just sometimes it's about skill. In that case, that was in part what it was, I think.
So next qualifying group setting themselves out there onto the racing surface is going to be Stephen Hill, Johnny Smith, Terry the Nerd Renner, and then David Jones. Hopefully we don't see David ends up in his close cousin's locker, but regardless, looking forward to get this qualifying group out there on the racetrack. I believe this is going to be qualifying group either number 5, if not 6, is just waiting for the go-ahead from Cody, and that number 127 car will roll out onto the racetrack. And really don't have anyone to really predict from this group. It's sort of an innocuous quartet of drivers heading out on the racetrack right here, Justin.
Yeah, an interesting group indeed, as you mentioned. Just going to be interested to see who can put up the best times. They did have some decent runs in the first week of the season last week, but time to really improve on that for the most part. No one really to stand out. Time to see who can maybe put up a good time to the top 10.
So, let's just say group leader here, number 127 car, Stephen Hill rolls through 1 and 2, just waiting for him to get the go-ahead, and he'll unleash the 720 some odd horsepower underneath that car. Green flag flies, and he has to hesitate a little getting on the throttle, as you typically do in a sprint car, but regardless, his first of a handful of laps gets started right now. Following him is, of course, Johnny Smith, who taps that outside wall. Smith will hopefully be carrying the namesake of Tim Smith, because Tim was very, very quick in that last session, so look for that number 88 car to possibly be fast. Terry Renner, and of course David Jones out there as well. Steve comes across the line, 14.5. Next car across, 14.4. Terry Renner, he's going to come through right now. He's going to go to a 14.4 as well. And David Jones, he's going to put himself in his locker at 14.6. So a lot of competitive times out there, spread around 210.
Yeah, very fast times. Everyone going more towards the high side, as you're seeing for 1 and 2, trying to improve. But I think right now with Johnny Smith, he's trying to get as low as he can. In fact, he just hit the wall.
A little bit loose there for the 88 machine. Tried the bottom and nothing doing just yet. He's going to go back down there again in 1 and 2. Not necessarily advised here, I think, after you struggle loose like that, but maybe he's already gotten everything he thinks he can out of the car and is just trying stuff out. 88 car through 3 and 4, gets back down in the middle. Not seeing a lot of cars really do that, and that's going to be a 14.6 for him that last time through. No real improvement there, but regardless, very, very competitive quartet of drivers once again.
Yeah, very competitive there, but we've seen with Johnny Smith, when you've seen him get loose, it was the left front tire trying to get it down as low as he could, bouncing off the wall, that messed up that time. So that is an error risk, I guess is a big risk, I should say, with this kind of track where you don't want to end up bouncing off the wall when going that low. So something to watch for too as the sessions progress.
We've got right now 3 more qualifying groups, I believe, on the banner. That's going to be 2 quartets and then 1 of 2 if things keep going on. We've gotten a couple of late entries here as next group's going to be rolling itself out there, and that's going to be Brock Garris, Scott Bellum, Chris Brenner, and Chad Miller. Chris Brenner has had a bit of momentum on the various Race Spot dirt broadcasts we've had. Very, very quick driver in that number 84, but also have to keep an eye out for the drivers around him as well. Scott Bellum is known for being pretty decent, as well as Brock Garris. Chad Miller, maybe the weakest driver in this group, if I had to just pick one, but I think Brenner easily the favorite here. It'll be interesting to see what he can do as this track slickens up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as it slicks up. We've been seeing some of the effects with some of the times, but you have to think too, Chad Miller too was in that top 10 for the first race as well in 9th spot. So as he's the last car coming out for the next qualifying grouping here, going to be in a little bit of an interesting spot where he has a lot of space, in fact, to put in this qualifying time, of course, as that's the last car.
Yeah, but I got to say something to make him not like me, otherwise he will, and we can't have that. But regardless, 22 car Brock Garris, CLT logging machine, he gets the go-ahead right now, and that's going to be green flag here on what I believe is qualifying group number 7. They run off of corner number 4 on that 22 machine. Going to get the go-ahead across that timing beam, followed by Scott Bellum, and then Chris Brenner. Brenner all the way up along the top, very near to those white walls, a little bit higher up than everyone else. Because that's the one thing we're seeing right now, Justin. People are liking the top, but they're not up against the wall just yet. That's because they have plenty of room of good dirt up top. Garris on his first time goes to a 6. Garris goes to a 6. Brenner's going to come across and do a 3. Let's see what Chad Miller can do. He's going to come through and go do a 14.3 as well. So maybe I was wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe, but of course there's still a couple of laps to get that improved. He's going to go towards the middle bottom section. And for Miller, as Miller comes around, let's see, just improves, maybe just down by a couple tenths, but Brenner, just as he zoomed by, was able to move up into 6th, brought Gaddis up to 15th, as they are trying to put down the pedal to the metal, trying to slide up on the higher side. Heading out of 4 is Garris. Can't improve on that time.
So Chris Brenner, that 2:47 is very, very quick. One of the quickest we've seen of the last couple groups. And he goes to a 1:70. Puts him second on the timing beam. So excellent lap from that number 84 car. It shows that even though we're starting to maybe get that middle groove slickened up just a little bit, Justin, still some good still some good soil out there and some good pace in the racetrack, as he's only a thousandth off that 38 of Tim Smith.
Yeah, and that just shows once again, if you properly have the exit to the bottom side, you're going to be able to put your sprint car, I should say, up on the higher part of the board. That's what Smith's done. That's what Brenner's done. And I think all the other drivers that have times remaining should start to take note that they should be able to go down to the bottom, especially 3 and 4, to get the fastest exit. And that's exactly what's going on. I'm going to expect, at least, for these final couple groupings.
So they're going to begin rolling themselves out there. You got Douglas Wyatt in that number 33 car, which has a paint scheme that makes me the immediate analogous thing. It's a Hippie's paint shop car, I can tell that, but it reminds me very much so of the monster truck Gravedigger. If we had Evan Pasoko, he'd be able to tell us all about that. He's going to roll off in that slightly stupid machine, and then we're going to have, of course, Derek Fisher, Doyle Lawrence, and Michael Sheridan making up this qualifying group. Those who watch any of our broadcasts on RaceSpotTV, you'll be familiar with Doyle. He runs in that Raven Graphics Inc. Speed Contender Series, and I've never seen him I've seen him in the sprint car, but I've never actually seen him race in quite a while. It'll be interesting to see what Doyle can do, but I have to say that lime green, that dark purple and black with the lime green of the number 33, Justin, I like that color scheme. I think he's my favorite for this one.
Yeah, definitely stands out on the track and somebody to look at for sure. And not just for the color scheme, as you mentioned. And so, him and Sheridan with the purple car and then, of course, the green cars. Definitely going to be interesting as they get underway here for this qualifying grouping.
So Douglas Wyatt in that Hippie paint shop machine. Of course, the prices aren't high, only the painter is. They work themselves through corners number 1 and 2 and down this back straightaway. So Doug Wyatt, he's going to be the first one to give us an idea on what the pace of this racetrack really is. Him running the middle of the racetrack like we've typically seen, he's going to go to a 14.5. Derek Fisher, he's going to come down the front straightaway and go to a 14.4. Doyle Lawrence, he's going to roll through the 14.5. And Michael Sheridan, last car in line to be able to put in a hot lap here, he's going to go to a 14.4. Pretty much everyone in that 4 to 5 second bracket right now.
Yeah, everyone putting together good times, and as you see, trying to dig to as low as they can. Here comes Sheridan, going very low, getting a very quick time. Let's see how the improvement is. It's still at a 14.4 as we look at Douglas Wyatt now using the middle groove as he gets ready to come through 3 and 4 himself towards the bottom, but has to slide on up.
Let's see how that going to impact it. He's going to cycle through to 14.5. Will not be an improvement for him, his personal best. With a 4.18, Derek Fisher improves to a 3.44. That's going to slot him towards the tail end of your top 10. And Doyle Lawrence, that 14.54 that he did on his first hot lap, that is going to be his quick lap of the session as well. So good times all through there, but 2 more drivers left before we get ready for racing action tonight. Justin, David Flick and Anthony Lepresto, just a duo out here after all the quartets we've had right in a row.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of advantage here, but here's the disadvantage, of course. You have all these cars already on the track, and as you see, it's very slick out there for 1. 2, the top side that got the 3rd fastest time of the session so far with Nathan Davis, is that option is gone because it gets harder to drive up on the cushion as it goes on. And now the bottom side is becoming very hard to stick for those corners. So it's going to be very difficult for these guys, but it's going to be interesting, I should say, to see if they're up for the challenge.
So that's going to be David Flick in that Looney Tunes machine. He's going to lead them out there here in just a moment. And then Anthony Lepresto, he will be the second car in line. I'm curious if we might not get a slightly earlier green flag because it is only 2 cars as opposed to 4, or if Cody will, for the sake of being fair, call them green at the same time, and I think they will indeed. So, what's been your takeaway thus far? I know this is your first dirt broadcast, Justin, and you're adapting to it decently well. What have you seen thus far? Who are you really watching as we move towards the heats here in just a couple minutes?
Other than, of course, Alex Bergeron and his grouping, somebody that I'm watching as this goes on is seeing the adaptability from, say, Nathan Davis. Because Nathan Davis, again, set the third fastest time using the high groove when that was available. So it's going to be interesting how he adapts during the heat events on when having to use the lower groove and having a very slick track as we're underway for the final grouping.
So off down toward the front straightaway for David Flick, and Anthony Lepresto coming off corner 4 as well. Top side for David through corners number 1 and 2, still leaving about a car width and a half away from that upper wall, and that's what you're going to want to be doing when you have this much good dirt available to you. 51 car, pretty much same story. Across the time being 14.5 for David, and he's actually going to tag that outside wall near the Eldora signage, and 14.487 for Anthony. So both of them about mid-pack to midway down. Actually, they are right next to each other in the times at the moment. Not only in car number as well, between the 56 and the 57, but a 3.99 for David. That's a good improvement from that 56 car. Let's see if Anthony can get down there, and indeed he can. He gets down to a 3.71.
Yeah, and you're seeing David Flick on your screen using the cushion here, and now finally moving downward a little bit, as I believe he's actually slowing down a little bit, as Anthony Lepresto, pardon me, still having the chance to go on the high side.
So top side of the racetrack for Anthony, he's going to cycle through to 3.53, and that is going to be his quick time of the session. That puts him, I believe, 10th, actually. So I think he'll just break into the top 10 on that final lap right there. But I believe that is going to do it for us for qualifying. So we're going to have a couple moments here to get ourselves sorted, and then going into the heat races in just a second. You need to give race control a little bit to get the things sorted out, and then we'll be going to green flag racing in just a moment. But regardless, Tim Smith, he takes the pole position with that 14.169. That said, I think the time of the number 84 machine, that 170 that came a half dozen or so groups later, Justin, I think that time is one that really stands out to me.
Yeah, definitely, as you mentioned, the time sticking out for sure. So, again, though, the heats are a different game plan, really, to the qualifying, because qualifying, of course, helps set the positions with this. So, again, going to be interesting to see how we adapt with all of this right here.
So, getting things sorted right now. For those who are unaware, pretty much the same story as always in the American Dirt Series. If you can't tell already, we do things a little bit uniquely for this championship compared to most of the other ones. Things are not done through the automated iRacing system. We actually run all these races manually with live admin. So shout outs to Cody Olson and Blake Derflinger whenever he can actually be bothered to show up. But it ends up being a full night of action as opposed to just a very, very quick session. As we do full qualifying like you just saw, we're going to have 4 heat races for you tonight. Top 2 of each heat race will go to a trophy dash. That will set the top 8 cars for your feature event, and those will be inverted for that trophy dash, that is, and then you will have a C and a B main before we get to that feature event. So what we're going to see tonight here as we get all these cars back out on the racetrack, you're going to have a couple hundred laps probably of combined racing action when you account for all the cars out there doing laps, Justin. That's going to slicken this track up once we get to that feature event. We saw that at USA, and it put on a very, very good show in these sprint cars.
Yeah, it's going, like you said, going to get slicker and slicker and more difficult, really, out on the track because, of course, when referring to the slicker it gets, the more up the track the grip goes. And, of course, the slick stuff, of course, means no grip. So that's going to make it interesting for having to make those passes. And, again, with it being Eldora with this D-shaped track, going to lead to a lot of interesting situations, especially coming out of 3 and 4 for the slide jump passes.
So 10-lap heats coming at you in this one tonight as we're just now getting ready to get those cars out there on towards the racetrack. We will have the grids for you up here shortly. I can see them, but I'm not sure if Hugo can type quickly enough or maybe copy and paste quickly enough would be the best one for him as he just starts spamming the Y key in chat. And I know that means yes. So let's go down your starting grid for the heat race in round number 2 of the American Dirt Series. Gonna be Tim Smith, of course, on the pole. Robert Kurtsetter second. Anthony Lepresto in third. Brock Garris fourth. Doug Wyatt in fifth. Craig Levan in sixth. And Todd LeBoux rounding out this 7-car field. 10 laps on these heat races tonight. And as always, for your heats, for the Trophy Dash and for the C and B mains, there will be no caution laps counted during the event. So whoever I hear out there currently burning fuel, be really entertaining to see you get burned by that. However, once we get to the 35 lap feature event at the end of the night, caution laps will count on this one. They only see 6 cars out there. Not sure if we've lost someone, but regardless, everyone's still out there pretty much where they need to be, as they're going to come off and should be getting the one to go right here. So racing action coming at you in just a moment. Justin, who's your pick?
My pick, of course, is Kurtsetter for this heat for sure. He's got not only the high side, really, but as well having one of the faster times, of course, for the qualifying sessions. He should be able to hang on, of course, having a great first week of the season. We're going to see if he can continue on that pace here with this start of the heats here for the second race of the season.
So through corners number 3 and 4, they're going to come. Tim Smith is going to get released and put lap number 1 of 10 on the board as the 38 machine looks up to the top side. 57, he wants that second spot and a direct ticket to that Trophy Dash. Robert Kurtsetter still up top side of the racetrack, which what we've seen be quick in qualifying to come through the end of lap number 1. Everyone's clean and everyone's up top.
Yeah, everyone riding along that cushion on the outside. In fact, backing a little from the cushion as there's a battle now for second. Kurtsetter getting passed alongside on the inside, having to back up with Lepresto.
So a big slider there from Anthony as they went in towards 3 and 4. Not going to be able to make that stick as they're running a third of 10 laps. 57, very quick on the top side. Robert, not very quick through the corners whatsoever. So Anthony's going to be really keen on keeping an eye on that as they run through corners number 1 and 2 once again. And down your back straightaway, let's see if that number 57 car throws it back down to the inside. No, he won't. There's a window for him potentially up top as Robert moves to the middle.
Yeah, right now the window closing fairly quickly. They have to go back on the outside to cushion, try and get things closed up. And here comes the pass on the inside. Just couldn't get enough speed though on the exit as he falls back into third spot.
Not quite able to make that stick as they're half distance in heat race number 1 through corners number 3 and 4. Tim Smith has a dominant about 8 to 9 car length advantage over Robert Kurtsetter, and that last slider attempt from Anthony really bit him. He's lost a lot of ground with this one. Robert, I would have to say, maybe nice and comfortable out there in that second spot now.
Yeah, nice and comfortable right now. And of course, nice and comfortable in the lead up way in the front as we have seen as Tim Smith. So it's just about trying to maybe reel him in. There's a couple laps to go here in this first heat.
Coming to 2 laps to go right here, right now. Lap number 9 started in this one, and popsicle sticks on the air for Tim Smith through corners number 1 and 2 up top, nice and clean. Down the back straightaway, still managing his gap nicely, not taking any big risks. Through corners number 3 and 4, white flag waving at the starter stand. Robert Kurtsetter trying to hold on to that second spot as well from Anthony Lepresto. Anthony still not quite close enough to put on too much pressure, and through corners number 3 and 4 for the final time in heat race number 1. Tim Smith is going to take victory in this first heat race with Robert Kurtsetter getting his ticket to the Trophy Dash and the A main as well. 27 car is going to come home in that second spot. So a good, nice and clean heat race number 1, Justin.
Good, nice and clean, and a very nice pace set on the cushion on the outside, especially from Tim Smith, able to pull away with the battle for second between Kurtsetter and Lepresto right on behind him, able to pull away and secure this first heat victory.
We're stood by with that number 38 car of Tim Smith, as Justin just alluded to, pole sitter and race winner here in heat race number 1. Tim, how's that number 30 car hooked up? It looks amazing.
Oh, this thing's flying, man. It's just about perfect.
Now, talking about this Eldora Speedway tonight, Eldora, a much different, much more unique. Well, I won't say much more unique. It's impossible to be more unique, but a unique racetrack as well compared to USA International that we saw last week. How are you liking this racetrack compared to what we saw 7 days ago? How would you explain the differences to those watching tonight?
Oh, I definitely much more a fan of Eldora than USA. I don't know why. I just seem to kind of not really struggle there, but I just don't seem to be able to carry the pace that the faster guys do. This place is a lot more banking, just a lot easier for me to drive, I suppose. So happy to be here this week for sure.
Well, thanks for joining us, Tim. Good luck to you in that number 38 car, starting off on the right foot.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully I'll talk to you in a little while.
So we're going to take a look at the results there of heat race number 1. Tim Smith, like we said, just won. That one was Rob Kurtzetter, finished in the 2nd spot. Those are going to be your top 2 going directly to the trophy dash and then to the A main later tonight. Anthony Lepresto in 3rd, Brock Garris 4th, Doug Wyatt 5th, Todd LeBou in 6th, and Craig Levan, who I believe did not take that start. He will be the 7th place finisher in that one, as we got a flurry of action on pit road right now, as we got 7 more cars, I believe, getting ready to hit this racetrack.
Yeah, those 7 more cars, a very diverse field, of course, involving Brenner, Trevor Royer, CJ LeVere, a lot of big names, a lot of drivers needing to improve their times in the heats. Why don't we take a look at that starting grid? Why don't we?
So, heat race number 2 coming at you as we look at the starting grid. Chris Brenner, who's your 2nd place in qualifying, only a thousandth of a second off that number 38. He's going to roll us off in heat race number 1. Trevor Royer in on the outside of him. CJ LeVere and Terry Renner on row 2. Derek Layton and Ernie Williams Jr. row 3, with Scott Bella rounding out 7-car field in this one. And you gave it to Kurtzetter at the last heat race. Justin, didn't pan out. Who's your pick for heat 2?
I think I'm going to go with the safe pick of Chris Brenner, because Chris Brenner, of course, being the control car for 1, and 2, able to maybe set up the pace, have a good start, and then get up to that high side to be able to keep Trevor Royer behind him. If there's a battle behind for 2nd place, for example, he might be able to pull away and secure an easy Heat 2 victory. But again, a lot can happen.
A lot can happen indeed in 10 laps of a heat race, as Chris Brenner going to be in command of the field in just a moment. He gets released, then he's going to roll him off in towards 1 and 2. What a jump though up top from Trevor Royer. Wheel to wheel through the entry, 1 and 2. He's going to try to drive back down to the bottom in that orange and white number 90. Wheel to wheel in towards 3 and 4. Down low for Royer, going to try to slide up in front of Chris Brenner. Not going to be able to do so. He's going to try to power by up top using that cushion once again. Royer, can he drive up there this time? Yes, but Brenner's got it for him down on the bottom. Turns it back down underneath and in towards 3 and 4. Fight for the lead continues.
Yeah, back and forth as you see. Almost getting the stick, of course, was Royer, but Brenner just able to get more momentum on the high side, able to get it right on back. And now as the battle's starting to settle down, he's starting to pull away on this high side. But Royer, you can see, trying to go a bit of a lower line to try and get any run he can here.
Up on the top still on corner number 1 and 2, working lap 4 of 10 in this 2nd heat. Then through 3 and 4, things are spreading out a little bit in this heat race. I think 1 car has dropped out. It's the 32 car, Derek Clayton. He's only down on towards pit lane. Not sure what happened to him. May have been some contact, but regardless, his night not going the way he would like. Not over just yet. Can still rebound through the C main later on in this one. Trevor Royer opting to try out the bottom groove of the racetrack. That's the end of the currently the part of the track that's slickened up the most. Entry into 1 and 2 up top. Still very slick though. The fight's getting on for CJ LeVere and Terry the Nerd Runner. Terry right on the rear Nerf bar of that number 44 Menards machine.
Yeah, and using all the bottom sides, everyone's starting to see the speed is being able to be gained, but they have to go right back up to the high side. As a bad exit from that Menards car to LeVere. Lost him a bit of time. He's still in third though, using the bottom line to have some kind of defense.
So working here right now for Chris Brenner. He's enjoying this one as we still have CJ LeVere trying to hold off Terry Renner in heat race number 2, and we come back out toward the front straightaway right here, working lap number 9 of 10 right now. Brenner with a nice comfortable lead, and a little bit of mistake there from Renner drops him a lot of time as white flags in the air, Justin.
White flags in the air indeed, as it's currently pulling away, as you see Brenner able to use that high line cushion, spreading it away from Royer, as he's going to come around the one last turn here, Randy, as he's going to secure this Heat 2 victory by a clean amount of time and a clean Heat number 2.
So nice and comfortable there for Brenner at the finish. Did not start that way whatsoever, and Trevor Royer put up one heck of a fight with that 84 car, able to get out there early and able to run away with this heat race, and we will be stood by him as soon as I find him in the team speed chat. There he is. There's that number 84 car of Chris Brenner. Chris, you went out in one of the later qualifying groups and put down a fantastic qualifying lap of that 170. You think you could have been a little bit quicker had you gone earlier?
Yeah, I think I might have snuck by my teammate there. I put in a great lap there, and just wasn't quite enough. Who knows? I'm happy with being that close. I know I can run with it front of the pack here tonight.
Now, at USA last week, we saw that place get super slick by the time we got to that feature event. Not quite as many cars tonight, only a 4 heat show versus 5, so that's going to be a little bit less laps this track experiences before we get there. But do you think we're going to get this place nice and slickened up before then?
I'm thinking it probably will. Tonight, I'm here to redeem myself after starting pole last week, and I had some hardware issues. So I'm looking for a win tonight. We'll see what happens.
Never ideal there, Chris. Good luck in this one. Hopefully that doesn't crop up again, as you've already got yourself in that trophy dash. Got to pray that the inversion doesn't bite you now.
Thanks, Randy.
So that was Chris Brenner, winner of heat race number 2. As we're now ready, I believe, to bring you the post-race results from that second heat race. Chris Brenner, like we said, took the win. Trevor Royer in second. He will also have a trip directly to the trophy dash into the A main later tonight. CJ LaVere in third. Terry Renner, Ernie Williams, Scott Bellop, and Derek Layton. They're going to make up the rest of that 7-car third heat race. And, well, you've gotten 20 laps of dirt sprint car action under your commentary belt, Justin. What you feeling? How you digging it?
I'm feeling pretty well, to be honest. Been exciting races so far here for tonight, and exciting calls for sure to work with you, Randy, for sure. So just gotta keep the rest of the chills and shakes that are going on still on my end all set to go as we get all set for heat number 3.
So, and I actually think we might be getting a 5th heat race tonight, so this might be a 5 heat race show. I may have been incorrect when I said that just a moment ago, but we'll be bringing you the starting grid from heat race number 3 here in just a second. And as I say that, I see Hugo queued up on the production feed. So Nate Davis, he's going to be bringing us to the green flag in this one. David Heilman will roll off on the outside of that front row. Brandon Steele and David Flick, they will make out row number 2. Brad Speidel and Doyle Lawrence, 2 interestingly pronounced names that aren't said entirely how they are spelt. They roll off on row 3, with Scott Marr being the lone car on row number 4. A lot of interesting paint schemes in this one as well. Always interesting to see the sorts of things people cook up on these wing sprint cars. They're such unique looking machines that it's always nice to see the creativity from the drivers as well as their speed and talent levels, as field in command of Nathan Davis is going to roll down to corner number 2, Justin, and I think you and Nathan are going to bring us to green.
Yeah, Nathan Davis, as you see, going to be the control car here, going to get all set going into turn number 3, and his bright highlighter yellow and green car as they get all set for the gas, waiting for the command. Green flag's out, he's underway, and we're starting heat number 3. Off to a great start, and look at the dig from the bottom from Brandon Steele. He's all the way at the bottom as he's going to fall back to 3rd, almost getting bumped from behind by Flick.
Nathan Davis holds on to his lead out in front there. David Heilman running right up against that wall, showing confidence. 36 jumps up there as well. Through 1 and 2, they're going to come on their second trip around this racetrack, and the fight is on for 3rd. Fanning out almost 3 wide, and I think that's Doyle Lawrence in the wall. He spun around, and he gets it going. We should stay green here as the fight for the race lead is on. 36 car slides way up the racetrack. 83 of Heilman. Going to have great traction on the bottom. They're wheel to wheel for the lead.
Yeah, this is back-to-back now for the second straight lap, coming into 3 as Heilman's still trying to make the bottom to work. Nathan Davis sticking on the high side. Heilman's now going to go back to the high side to try and coil up and try and position himself for an air attack.
So Nate Davis comes off corner number 4 once again. Heilemann, where is he going to get that run? Where is he going to get the momentum to be able to make something happen? Because that 36 car looks comfortable up against that top side of the racetrack, and he's leaving a little bit of room to spare up there. As well, maybe not so much. I might be wrong about that. Heilemann's going to just tag that outside wall with that big, thick, staggered right rear tire, and through 1 and 2 once again off down the back straightaway. 36 car. He's not really stretching the gap, Justin. I think he may have done so a little bit last time through, but he's not letting Heilemann catch him.
Yeah, not letting him catch him, and you're seeing the bobbling going on with the slick. Just trying to ride on that cushion, not letting any space go. Heilemann's bouncing around a bit more, I think, on these exits to be able to slide out, leading to the slide out better from Nathan Davis to slowly stretch it out.
So working lap number 8 right now. Nathan Davis still maintaining this race lead. This is really the only fight on the racetrack. Everyone else spread out by about 10 or so car lengths. Coming to lap number 9, and Heilemann wants that race lead. You know that 83 car is so competitive. Wants to get away with a heat race win, and they work themselves down the back straightaway. Lap and a half left in this one, and as they approach this white flag off of corner number 4 and down this front straightaway, Nathan Davis just nicely working his lead here in heat race number 3, and down the back straight he's going to go a little bit of a bobble. Let's see if Heilemann might look down low. He's going to try to slide him up on the number 36 machine, try to keep it down to the bottom late, and that's going to ruin the run. Nathan Davis will hold on for heat race number 3.
Yeah, great battles throughout heat number 3 for sure, and Davis really strong on the outside line, able to hang on to it as well despite all the multiple attacks on the low side, trying to get down all the way to the bottom from Heilemann. Great run from Davis, and showing he just had the slightly better car for this heat.
We're actually stood by with that 36 car of Nate Davis. He stood by with Justin Prince.
Yes, Nathan Davis coming on top for this heat for sure. What are your thoughts after coming on top after a very intense battle for the lead for the first part of it? Nate Davis, do you have a copy?
Splendid first interview for Justin Prince.
And we're going to try this one more time. Nathan Davis, do you have a copy?
It's okay, Justin. I saw him in the channel earlier with Cody Olson, so I'll make sure to have Cody shout at him. But that was regardless your race winner of Nate Davis. Very quiet man.
Maybe it's on purpose, essentially, to be able to focus on the car because, of course, coming on top of the heat number 3, and now probably focused in on the trophy dash more, trying to basically not give away any secrets. Maybe that's the thought process.
Maybe. I think it's much more likely that he likely screwed up somewhere along the way and doesn't have the mic settings correct in TeamSpeak, or he stepped away from the computer. Those are, I think, the more likely options, but what do I know? As we're going to be looking at the results from heat race number 3 right now. Nate Davis, of course, silently winning that heat race. David Heilemann in second. Those two going to the trophy dash in the main. Brad Speidel in third. Brandon Steele fourth. Scott Marr fifth. Dave Flick in 6th, and Doyle Lawrence will round out 7 cars in heat race number 3. And I have to say, I think that heat race, Justin, easily the most exciting of the 2 before it, because that was an amazing run there.
It definitely was an amazing run, because usually we have seen the first couple heats, everyone settles into the same line, sort of into the high side, and not many passes. But as the heats are continuing to go on, we're seeing more and more pass attempts from people. And as the heats go on, as the track gets more slicker, leaving those opportunities. But David Heilemann, he almost was able to take advantage of that to get by Nate Davis a few times. Now it's going to set up a very interesting picture for heat number 4.
It is heat race number 4. Got the grid ready for you. It's going to be Max Stambaugh, Derek Walker, Brad Nichols, Mike Sheridan, Johnny Smith, Dave Jones, and Emil Miller rolling off in this 4th and penultimate heat race. Is somewhat, let's just say, with lack of a better term, nicely here, Justin. We've got a handful of late drivers coming in to run tonight, and that's really filled up that 5th heat race. Name I'm looking at, Austin Selman, VLR driver. Austin is one of the best here on the iRacing service. He's going to be strong tonight, I think.
Yeah, and of course, with that being into the 5th heat, it's going to be interesting for sure to see how he does. Of course, as you mentioned, coming in late, going to be interesting to see how strongly he does without the qualifying time available for the reference for the 5th heat.
That's really going to be the big one right there. As just waiting on getting these guys rolled off. We have not. Did we go down the grid already? Is it bad that I forgot? It's probably bad. Yeah, we just did the results, didn't we? Right, Justin?
I believe we did. So why don't we go down the grid, shall we?
Yeah, you take us down. Heat race number 4.
Yes, let's take a look at this grid indeed for heat number 4. And this big field going in with 7 more cars. Max Stambo once again starting on the front row with Derek Walker. Brad Nichols will start alongside Michael Sheridan, while Johnny Smith starts alongside David Jones. Emil Miller rounding out the 7-car field, of course, for this heat number 4, for this 10-lap heat.
So still waiting on getting everything sorted. I think Cody just trying to manage some of these guys showing up late. Shame on you all, as the 7-car field for heat number 5 is now expanded to an 8-car field for heat race number 5. But let's see what can happen here in this heat race. Doyle Laurent showing his bias as always. Wants that Raven Graphics sponsored number 20 of Derek Walker to be quick. Doyle is nothing more than a schmoozer for his own company, isn't he? You don't know Doyle, so you're not going to meme on him as hard as I will. I know Doyle, so I will. We've been commentating their series for a while, so you can be nice. It's okay.
I mean, the nice way of putting it is, iRacing, of course, allows creativity, and as well, if you own a business, chance to maybe connect to potential customers wherever they may be through the iRacing service. So there's the positive spin to it.
That's a very, very professional way of saying that you can make some sick Skrilla here as the field works themselves in heat race number 4 through corners number 3 and 4, getting ready to come to green. And Max Stambaugh, he's going to get on that go pedal, gets a nice jump for himself, and going to have the track all to his lonesome up towards 1 and 2. Contact for second as Raven Graphics not starting off their heat race as well tonight. Doyle finishes last in his, and Walker somehow saves that car, but I wouldn't be surprised if the toe or something had been out on that one as he goes from from second down deep in the order.
Yeah, that was a big-time mistake to start that off. He's trying to use the bottom to make up any spots he can, but as you said, might have some damage to struggle with that. But look who's coming on right behind trying to use the bottom line, Michael Sheridan.
Michael Sheridan getting really strong here. They're 3 wide deep here. Derek Walker up top, David Jones in the middle, and Mike Sheridan running to that bottom groove of the racetrack. 20 car of Walker trying to move, still work that top side of there, still 3 wide, and there's gonna be contact, and somehow no one's out of this one.
Yeah, that was David Jones and Sheridan making a little bit of contact, and that's going to lose Sheridan a ton of time, as I think somebody else is against the wall. That was Derek Walker.
Derek Walker, his misfortune continues here. Heat race number 4 is one driver up top struggling as well, Johnny Smith. He drives it back down to the bottom side of the racetrack. David Jones is somehow quietly out in front, but they say that the 88 car very strong on the bottom, but David's got the momentum up top. Walker, he's going to try to get the move done on Johnny Smith down low, as well as Mad Max Stambaugh. He's just nice and calm and cool out there with this race lead as we're approaching halfway.
Yeah, things starting to finally calm out, but this shows how the track conditions have changed throughout this, as Derek Walker's now fighting for second. Can he hold on the slide job? Yes, he can, as bobbling loose was David Jones.
So still, this mid-back's trying to sort itself out. I think the field got hicked up with Michael Sheridan. Big wiggles up on that top side through corners number 1 and 2. And he's going to get back underneath the bottom here of that 88 of Johnny Smith. Number 00 of David Jones still just out in front. Sheridan kind of slides nobody, but gives himself a nice little bit of space as out in front. Max Stambaugh is still running away with this heat race. It's going to be 2 to go right here. No, excuse me, white flag is in the air right now.
Yeah, coming along with the white flag. One of the few cars using the bottom line, trying to separate this out over Brad Nichols as they have gone away from the chaos. They come around turns 3 and 4. Max Stambaugh will come away with heat number 4 as he wins it by about a full second.
A big win there for Max Stambaugh, Brad Nichols second, and Derek Walker third. Those 3 being your top 3, but as it's contact between Walker and Nichols as they got down on the back straightaway, so a little bit of post-race entertainment there, as we're going to see if we can't get stood by with Mr. Stambaugh. Oh, let's see, his mic is muted in TeamSpeak. Let's see if he's got it, though. Max, do you copy? Well, looks like this another. No one wants to talk to you, Justin. What did you do to these guys?
I'm not really sure, but David Jones, I think, just ran out of fuel, by the way, in turns 1 and 2. That's why you only see 5 cars on your screen. And so, I'll say this. It was a very interesting heat to come away with the victory. Very interesting to battle for the second spot, I should say. Just able to get enough time, as you see Nichols, to get the second spot with all the shuffling throughout the mid-pack. Lots of cars bobbling back and forth with this being a very, very slick track. Going to make a very, very interesting 5th heat now, for sure.
Well, Nichols had the 3rd spot, I believe. I think. I'm not actually sure. That was...
Correct me
Everyone
if
just
I'm
kind of pulled off. No, I think Derek Walker had it. I think Cody might be failing on us. So let's just we'll wait for that. Mr. Race Control is potentially letting us down, and I'm just taking a look. No, it was David Jones, I believe, in the 00. At least by my count. Yeah, when he came across the stripe, he's the one who had that. No, wait, no, never mind. I don't know what I'm looking at. You're right. It was Brad Nichols. There you go. It's just not in order yet. Just yell at Cody.
Yeah, that just shows the chaos that happened with that in the middle pack, really. Where Nichols, of course, as I said, was the one who came out on top, and by the time all the shuffling was still going on for 3rd, 4th, 5th, as you've seen, the top 2 were able to pull away just enough to where they were able to cleanly come through. Going to be interesting to see how the final shuffling is for the middle pack for sure.
So with that, we now have your results for heat number 4 with Max Sambaugh coming home with that one. Brad Nichols is going to be going to the Trophy Dash and main event tonight as well. Derek Walker, Michael Sheridan, Johnny Smith, Eric Miller, and David Jones will round out this field. And we have what is probably the star-studded and strongest heat race of the night with Alex Bergeron, Austin Selman, and Nick Cooper all in this 5th and final heat race tonight, Justin. And I'm not sure if you got the opportunity to watch everything that happened at USA on Monday night, but just for reference, Nick Cooper basically turned up and he went from the back of his first heat race to 2nd place, got into the Trophy Dash, and that immediately put him in the A main, and he raced towards the front in that race as well. So even though Cooper is going to be starting deep, he still has to be a contender to get up into those top 2, but he's going to have Austin Selman there doing that with him.
Yeah, it's going to be a big-time challenge. And, of course, you have Alex Bergeron at the front of the group, too, for this heat. So it's a star-studded grouping course. Going to be absolute fighting there, as you see Selman and Cooper going to have to fight through that field as quick as they can, really, for this heat to be able to have enough time, really, to duke it out for the 2nd spot, maybe, or the lead, too.
So looking at the starting grid on your screen right now, like we said, Bergeron bringing them to that green flag tonight. And then with Cooper and Selman there in the back, they're the drivers to watch as well. Derek Fisher, Chad Miller, Stephen Hill, John Fowler, and Greg Thompson. They're rounding out 2nd through 6th, but still so much hype for those 2. Row number 4, the most populated of the heats that we had, as instead of 7 cars, we have that full 8, and the cars that are starting from deep down there are going to be putting on a good show. Huge shout outs as always, by the way, to all the sponsors who make this championship happen. You have, of course, Northern Illinois Lawn and Care, and then, of course, CMF Motors Electric. His field is getting ready to roll itself off.
Yeah, and a competitive field, as we said. I'm going to be interested to see how Alex Bergeron handles this and how he performs here in this final heat for the 2nd race, of course, coming off the victory last week in the sprint cars. So, for the peak antifreeze series driver, going to be very competitive for him, and I think he has to definitely start pulling away quickly, of course, with those back 2 drivers being, I think, the main ones to watch, of course, to see how they move through the field to catch up to Bergeron.
Those who have never commentated on a computer before, there's nothing worse than trying to go to the internet tab that has your references for sponsors and closing it and then realizing you got the sponsors wrong. But of course, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, I think I said Southern Illinois, so my apologies there. Then of course, Shiloh Forestry and CMF Motors Electric. They do the late models, but still gotta get a little bit of love to them. They're an American Dirt Series affiliated sponsor. The field rolls themselves off down toward that back straightaway. Got one driver joining a little bit late. Austin Selman couldn't bother to make qualifying and barely bothered to make his heat race as well as Alex Bergeron. I think he's definitely the favorite in heat race number 5. He's going to get on that go pedal a little bit later. What we've seen is a little bit of a bobble in the mid-pack, but everyone's going to be through clean off towards 1 and 2. They're 3 wide immediately, and I think that's Selman down low, really trying to get a big drive. And Selman, he's already put 4 cars in his rearview mirror in just 3/4 of a lap, and they're 4 wide behind him.
4 wide, and they're bouncing off each other. John Fowler bouncing off the side. I believe that was Nick Cooper who made contact with them. They settled back to almost 3 wide, but a great start from Selman using the bottom side. And there's a challenge, though, from Derek Fisher on Alex Bergeron at the front.
Things happening up and down this heat race as Fisher not quite able to maintain the traction through 2. 12 machine goes to the bottom of Bergeron, sort of runs the slider with no one up there. One car up in the wall here, that was Chad Miller. That's going to put Selman up in the 3rd spot. He goes from basically last all the way to top 3. 1 car on his lid in 1 and 2. That is going to be John Fowler, as I think this might slow this race up. No, they're going to keep him green as Selman tries to keep moving forward, and Nick Cooper trying his best, but no thing going just yet. 3 wide, 3-3-5, tries to work the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, coming down this D section, it's going to be interesting to see how they sort themselves out of 3 and 4. Cooper trying to get the slide job up to the high side and gets the best run out of them. So it's going to be having to hold on to the high side to shut the door, shuts the door, holds on to 3rd.
Bergeron continues to lead, though, massive advantage over Derek Fisher. Austin Selman, he's about to have the fight on for 3rd. Fight between Nick Cooper and Greg Thompson's heating up. 3-1-3, drives down to the bottom, but Cooper's going to get back underneath them. Down your back straightaway as Selman wants to transfer directly to that trophy dash in A main. He's lurking on that 39 of Derek Fisher, who's just trying to be nice, calm, cool, and collected. But when you have Austin Selman in that black and white number 18 machine pressuring you, it's hard to do so. Slider from Austin. Will he be able to make this stick? No, 39, gonna move it back down underneath them. Selman will have the advantage up top.
Yes, Selman's getting a huge run. As you're seeing, he's going to go back to the bottom. Goes all the way to the bottom, comes back to the high side, but doesn't have the momentum. That opens up the door back again for Fisher.
Fisher goes up to the top side of the racetrack. Selman coming to checkers right here. Who's going to take this 2nd spot? Selman has the position for now, but Fisher's going to have the momentum. Drag race to the line, and I think Fisher got it. Selman and just misses out by, I think, a couple thousandths of a second, if not a couple hundredths of a second. Close finish for that 2nd spot. I can't tell who's got it. As they roll down the back straightaway, race control is going to give it to Fisher.
Now let's take a look at this here as they go through 3 and 4. I believe this is the angle of, no, this is going towards the backstretch to 3 and 4. Now you see the very big dig having to slide all the way to the outside.
I think it's Fisher.
I think it's Fisher, yeah, by about maybe a tire length. My goodness, able to hold on to it on the bottom, just the slide job from the bottom to the top. Not enough momentum from as you've seen to get the spot. And of course, Fisher, he was up at the front for much of this, finishes 2nd.
And we now have race winner from this heat race. It was a nice calm race for him. But Justin, you're stood by with Alex Bergeron, who may not have any idea what in the world just happened behind him yet.
Alex Bergeron, do you have a copy? And how are you feeling if you do have a copy about coming away with heat number 5?
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. I know Austin was coming pretty quick. I'm sure for that. But the rest of the car was feeling good, so I'm looking forward for the dash.
Did you know what was happening? What was happening, I should say, behind you? And what are your thoughts on all the battles going on with some of the faster cars having to start from the rear for this heat, and now how you're going to have to deal with a few of them potentially for the next couple heats and the A main potentially?
I had no clue what's going on behind. Just know Austin finished 3rd and he started last, so that's for sure. He's fast. I have no clue what's going on behind. But in the future, you know, we're gonna be patient and do our lines and don't make any mistakes and finish the race.
Just to ask this as well, what kind of adjustments do you think you need to make for the main compared to what you felt with the heat race with how the track felt?
Well, there's a couple of stuff to change, but not really. So we're just gonna keep what we got right now. There's not a lot of stuff to change. So we're gonna keep what we got, and we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how that does. Thank you very much for the time. Alex Bergeron coming away with the victory of heat number 5.
So big winner there from Alex in that final heat race. I'm sure he's going to be very, very happy about that, as we're going to be getting you a lot of racing action here in just a moment, as it's going to be a full night of actions. We're actually going to go down to a D main tonight. Justin, I think we weren't expecting that at first, but a couple names showing up relatively late means we're going to fill out this field. I think Race Control is still getting things sorted. I don't even have a D main. Oh, there it is. Now I see it on my graphic. As I just about to say something really silly, but regardless, we're going to have a 10-lap D main. Top 4 will transfer. C main will be a 12-lapper, and then 8 will transfer, and then a 15-lapper for the B main, and 14 cars will leave that one. So it's going to be an entertaining D main regardless, because even though you can pick a handful of favorites from those heat races up front, the entire middle of the field is so tightly contested. I don't think you can pick just any one or a handful of drivers, even in those D and C mains down low.
I don't think you can either, because it's been that kind of racing, because each heat it's going to be a different kind of condition really, as it gets more slicker again, and the cushion kind of changes the way it goes. Drivers are starting to get more confident with using the bottom lines and the bottom grooves here all the way near to the wall, almost to the brim just about. So it's going to be different what we see from each heat. We're going to see drivers getting more and more confident all the way up to the A main.
So just getting everything sorted here. I think they're doing a little bit of a driver's briefing right now to explain what is happening, as we're also going to have a 12-lap trophy dash as well to sort the starting grid for that feature event tonight. I think we're going to step aside here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live, catch our breath, and be back with the American Dirt Series, and they're ready to get going for these main events. Don't go away.
Just like a movie, just like a storybook, we are the future, we're the ones they won't overlook. It's time to be the hero. Rising, like you've never seen, like you've never seen. Looking for a hero, just like in a dream, just like in a dream.
So we are back after our quick break here on RaceSpotTV. Normally the music cue for the commentator would be right here, but because we're a little rushed, they rolled the D main off on us as they're rolling themselves out there. As Blake, don't worry, we know all about that. As field, this is the D main coming at you in this one. Craig Levan, Derek Layton, Doyle Lawrence, David Jones, a lot of D names in this one, Chad Miller, and John Fowler. This D main is going to be, as I referenced this other message over here, this is going to be a 10-lapper top 4 transfer. So 6 cars, 10 laps, 4 transfer to the main event. Let's see who's going to get it, as the Pink Panther is going to lead us to the green flag here. Craig Levan, he's got a nice jump over that 32 car of Derek Layton.
Yeah, nice big jump, in fact, able to get enough space and using the bottom side to try and get a bigger run, but Derek Layden holding on to his own on the high side, but Lawrence trying to dig onto the bottom side as they're 2 wide, almost 3 wide behind them.
So Doyle Laurent, oh, big incident on your back straightaway. John Fowler's upside down, David Jones and Chad Miller. So 3 cars, big incident in that one. Be interesting to see how those cars are going to drive. Well, that's basically the greatest thing you could ever hope to see out in front of you here, Justin, because I think Laurent somehow got away with the race lead as that caution came out. Actually, maybe not. I'm not sure. I think race control will give that race lead back to Derek Layton. So those top 3, having an incident like that happen behind you, that pretty much is an automatic transfer spot to the feature or to the C main.
Yeah, there's only 4 cars left because of that, I believe, as well, because this is the second time Fowler's flipped over in this one, for 1, and 2, pardon me, Miller flipped over as well as him, and then, of course, you have David Jones already going into the pits as well, so you have just 3 cars left out there, potentially, depending on what happens with Jones here. As you said, completely changes the strategy and completely changes how things go with this heat, with there being 4 transfer spots.
So these 3 out there and rolling. I'm not sure what race control is going to do exactly, because there's only 3 cars and 4 transferring. The logical thing would be just to call it, but this is race control we're talking about. Nothing logical ever happens. No, that's a joke, of course. As these 3 guys might just get out there to battle it out, because after all, at the end of the day, these are starting spots in the following mains that are up for grabs. So these guys are going to want to race it out and have the ability, if they think they can do so, to get further up. Let's see, does Craig Levan get the go ahead? They're going to start forming him up 2 wide right now. So going to be just 3 cars and I think 8 laps to sort this one out.
Yeah, because you could let them come up ahead, but still, correct me if I'm wrong with this, you still have to get a good position, and determines where you start off technically in the later on mains too. So it's still going to be important for where you finish off in this D main for the rest of this tonight.
So 8 laps to go, and Craig Levan gets on that go pedal. Green flag flies, 3 cars, 8 laps. They roll through 1 and 2. Craig's out to a nice lead as you got Derek Layton and Doyle Laurent. They're going to fight wheel to wheel down the back straightaway, and it's going to be Doyle who has the spot for now. Up top, though, look for that red and silver car to get a big run. Nothing happening just yet as Derek gets a little bit of a hiccup, and Doyle will hold on to that second spot. Don't fight too hard, boys. No, Doyle's going to get contact. Come on, you're both transferring. Just bring it home clean.
Yeah, they better think about that strategy. You can't really risk that. You've seen the big run that Layden had on the high side, able to try and cut it to the low side. And he's trying to get the low side to stick for the outright here, coming out of the D shape as they'll come out of 3 and 4, still 2 wide, back to 1.
4 laps to go left in this one as they're still side by side back there. As Doyle's trying to hold on to that second spot, and you know that Derek wants it here. They're going to work themselves off of corners number 3 and 4, and Doyle has a bit of a run, reeling in that pink and silver number 610.
Yeah, going as high as he can really throughout this run, as they're getting very close here because Layden's closing on in here, and Lawrence right down to the bottom. They're going to almost be 2 wide, 3 wide as they enter 1 and 2 here. This is going to be fun for the final couple laps.
2 laps left and 3 cars all fighting for the win. Doyle Laurent somehow going to have the race lead as they work and come off corners number 3 and 4. Down your front straightaway, white flag going to be waving. 32 car close to the 31, and everyone's going to be backed up through corners number 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway for the final time. They're going to be wheel to wheel as it's going to be Doyle Lawrence on the top 32. If Derek Lyon tries to slide him, makes contact, and he's going to hold on. He's somehow going to win this D main. I may have discounted the laps. They're still trying to sort him out down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and Craig Levan's car is mishandling for sure right now because he lost the lead when they bumped the right side tires off the back wall. He's losing a heck of a lot of time, as I believe now they're just about finished up. And in fact, now, Laura, it's going to be coming up with Layden for the victory.
So, called it a little bit too early, but Derek Layton going to be your winner tonight. Let's see if we can get stood by with him in that 32. It's actually a 32U. I said 32A at the top of the show during qualifying. But now we're going to be stood by with Derek. Derek, 32U car. How did you manage to win that one?
I don't know. I just drove it on in deep and hope for the best. Was lucky to pull that one out.
It's been an entertaining night of running for you tonight, Derek. We saw you go, I believe, around midpoint of the qualifying sessions, and it's not been that long, I don't think, since you've been out there for a heat race. How has that track changed tonight?
Yeah, it was real tacky at first, and a lot of guys were running low, and that's, I think, where I made my mistake. I ran the high line in qualifying and ended up qualifying in the middle of the field. So the track is slickened up quite a bit. There's definitely a lot of room to run, but the high side is definitely the fast lane.
So with that, you're going to transfer yourself to the B main. Let's just say somewhat, let's say, I don't want to say anticlimactically, because half of your main ended up taking themselves out, and that basically made it an easy transfer spot for you regardless. How keen were you on actually winning that little D main right there? How important was that, knowing that you pretty much already had a transfer spot saved up?
Yeah, knowing that I was already transferring, I knew there was nothing to lose, so I just went for the win, and luckily I pulled that one out.
Well, good luck to you in the C main, Derek. Hopefully you can run through there as well.
All right, thank you very much.
So, Justin, an entertaining 3-car scrap there, and we talked about that before this phase of the night kicked off, the fact that we're going to see a lot of people that we haven't seen race together once we get to these C and B mains, and how quick and how close this field has been all night. If that's a sign of things to come, things are going to be calamity for these later main events, as I think we're going to be bringing you the trophy dash right now. I might be misinformed. I'm misinformed. Looks like they are gridding. Is it the C main?
How about we show those results, because you see Doyle Lawrence.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, Doyle Lawrence still, of course, came out on top of that with Craig Lahan. Then, of course, they ruled that Derek Layton finished off in, I believe those are actually mixed up a little bit. As pardon us there on that mistake here, as gotta love those fourth walls.
Yeah, gotta love the fourth walls and the Excel spreadsheet that trying to get sorted. Yeah, there's no way that's right. So, but regardless, the drivers that are transferring are still transferring. So, hopefully they take acknowledgement of that. As we're going to get the C main running and then bring you the trophy dash in this one, as I'm just trying to figure out where on our spreadsheet they've hidden everything. So we'll be bringing you the starting grids for all that stuff here, hopefully in just a moment. As Hugo, I think that might be the situation. Hopefully you can get the necessary information from what's there as we get this C main gridded here. But they don't even have the cars all on track just yet, but going to be a big one. So this one, C main, a little bit more crowded than the last. There's going to be 14 cars, 12 laps, and the top 8 transfers. So if you're E. Miller, Stephen Hill, and then of course the people we just saw on that D main, Justin, of Doyle Lawrence, Craig Levan, Derek Layton, and David Jones, you got a lot of work to get yourself up there.
Yeah, you do. And I think with Levan, I think you got to make a little bit of minor adjustments with how you drive, because main reason he fell out of the lead, of course, in that D main was bouncing off the wall, and that messed up the handling. If he does it here again, his day's done. So he's got to make sure he's able to keep the car clean and as well have a very good run as we start to get all set to go.
So just waiting on getting everyone released here. We should be going and sorted. Hopefully have your starting grid here in just a second. They are going to get released to head out there on the racetrack. So, starting grid, even if Hugo doesn't have the graphic ready, it's going to be Doug Wyatt and Ernie Williams on that front row, Scott Marr and Johnny Smith row 2, Greg Thompson and Todd LeBeau on row number 3. Row number 4 is going to be Scott Bellum and David Flick, Emil Miller and Stephen Hill. Row number 5. Row number 6, Doyle Lawrence and Craig Levan, with Derek Layton and David Jones rounding out the 7 rows in this one. And this is where things are going to get really interesting, Justin. Full grid of cars, 14 machines out there on the racetrack. this is where you have to be picture perfect, and we might get drama in this next 12 laps of racing.
Yeah, it certainly is potential drama here as we see that grid shown up on your screen. But it's going to be absolutely wild for sure already. They're getting a little bit testy at the back portion as they come around 3 and 4. They're getting set for the green.
Doug Wyatt brings them to the green flag. Lap number 1 of 12 up in this one. Let's see, will they make it through 1 and 2 clean? They're spanning out 3 and 4 wide through the first couple corners. Bit of contact back there, and I see one car spinning down to the inside wall. That was Todd LeBeau, and I think, we got a big incident in 3 and 4 as well. 15 machine of Aaron Miller caught up in this one, and I think we're going to be getting a restart here in this one. Definitely going to yellow. I'm not sure if this is going to be a full field reset or not.
Yeah, a lot of cars involved in that. In the middle portion, you see that all started up with LeBeau getting down, hitting the wall, and getting loose. Then another car gets turned into 3. 2 cars get clipped together. And of course, that leads to caution. That 15 would be Derek Layden. So a few of the drivers for the D main that fought their way through all the chaos and still was able to advance, of course, with their 3 cars remaining on the track, involved in this one.
Now we should be getting a full field reset. Just got some clarification from race control. Lap number 1 did not count, so still 12 laps on the board in this one here tonight. And if you're Doug Wyatt, that's the exact opposite thing I think you want to see happen, because you want to have these laps count when you can get them to count and, well, get that number off your back and make things easier moving forward, Justin.
Yeah, exactly. Just, you think you got a good start, then you get the caution, it has to reset everything, and so it kind of messes around with the mindset a little bit. But I think more of the worry has to be with the cars just involved with that, because that's going to not only cause us issues, of course, with the flow a little bit as they got to reset things here. Derek Layden now has the damage that he has to worry about. David Jones potentially the damage, and you have LeBeau still. LeBeau, in fact, off the track at this point.
But things not going well for LeBeau as they're going to reform up the field. I don't know if we're going to be going green this time. Back of the field not quite closed up. Let's see if race control is going to give him the go-ahead. All eyes on Doug Wyatt. Does he put that right foot down? Nope, still driving like he's in a school zone, like a good little boy. Well, he's doing 42 miles an hour, so you enjoy that ticket, number 33 in the rest of the field. But still, pretty much full field reset. 12 laps on this one. Who's your pick?
My pick for this one, I still feel like you still have the very strong drivers at the front. I think the pick still has to come along the lines for this one of Douglas Wyatt. He just has to be able to hang on at the front of the field as they get all set to go. Coming out of 3 and 4, there's the green flag. We're back underway here for the C-Main.
Clarification, we're coming to this with 11 laps to go. Lap 1 indeed did count. They're going to fan out 4 wide for that second spot and very quickly get back to 2x2. That's not going to work out as it's a very racy Eldora racetrack right now. As the 33 car, Big Bobble coming off 4, he scrapes that outside wall, and that's going to stack him up behind him. 999 of Scott Maher. He wants that second spot coming to lap number 3.
Yeah, trying to get that spot. Indeed, you see they're 2 wide throughout the entire field, as now they're 4 wide, in fact, in the middle portion. That is London along with Lawrence and Stephen Hill. They all have to back out, multiple checkups. That's going to give up space in front. Car in the wall, as that is Douglas Wyatt, who loses a ton of time.
He was race leader at the time. There were 3 wide between himself, Scott Maher, and Ernie Williams, and he ends up getting the short end of the stick and dropping to the midfield. Still, the fight is on for that race lead as Scott Maher and Ernie Williams. A wheel-to-wheel car around in the background in the entry in 3 and 4. That's Scott Bellum. Oh, and big more incident on the back straightaway.
Stephen Hill and Craig Levan both around and slowly going. I believe this is going to slow things up here as they crashed along the backstretch. Let's take a look at the RaceSpotTV replay. As you see, having to turn around in the middle of the racetrack. But before that, they both get hooked together, both bouncing off the wall. The 610 getting the worst of the damage. Levan and Hill both into the pit lane from that.
So a big incident there, and by my count, we said 8 transfers from this race. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think 11 cars that are still technically scored as on the racetrack. Maybe a little bit more than that. Camera angle wasn't the greatest, but we're dwindling down from the 14 that we started with.
Yeah, dwindling down with the incidents. I should make a correction on what the first incident involved Emil Miller, I should say, and not of course, Derek Lawton. But regardless, there's a lot of action going on here as you see that incident that started a lot of this bottling up here once again. And as you see the replay, this is the car that has a fair amount of damage. You see is at the back, bit of crinkles throughout this car. So as these cars start getting a little bit beat up for the C main, it's going to make interesting situations for getting those transfer spots.
So 7 laps to go left in this C main tonight, and of course we bring you the trophy dash, the B main, and the feature following this one. 7 laps to go for Scott Marr, who has just recently inherited that race lead. Picks up the pace a little bit awkwardly through 3 and 4. Let's see when he goes. Very, very tight down there to the inside, waiting, and Scott Marr brings them to the green flag late, and that's going to cause a huge stack up in the mid-pack. We might see a lot of calamity here through 1 and 2 as Scott leads them off towards the back straightaway. Coming to 6 laps to go, car around up on the top side of the racetrack. That's Doug Wyatt, one-time race leader.
Yeah, and his race is getting worse and worse. We're going to keep going, but I think at this point, he's got to find a way to make a miracle work. He's trying to get to as low as he can, almost clipping the pit wall as they go bumping and bumping into 3 and 4.
Greg Thompson and Ernie Williams, they're fighting for it as they got 5 laps to go in this one of the 999 of Scott Marr, and just trying to hold on to this race lead as Ernie Williams and Greg Thompson, they want to make things very, very difficult. Top side of the racetrack for Ernie Williams, going to try to work the momentum, and he's going to pull alongside Scott Marr and working the top side of the racetrack. He's going to work in at 91, call him the race leader as there's a new player who's entered the game. That is Johnny Smith. He's coming from the 4th spot.
Yeah, and Scott Marr struggling right now on the bottom side. You see him straightening out and losing a ton of time and spots because of that. And it's opening up the door for a lot of drivers. 2 wide on behind him, though, and that's Johnny Smith and David Flick still working to get along by him for 3rd spot. As going to the inside, right behind him, going for the pass.
So still out in front is Ernie Williams holding on to. We got a 1 car up on the top side of the racetrack. Who's that? 999 machine and Scott Marr. No one wants to win this C main as they're going to come across start-finish line, and Scott's just about going to hold on. I'm not sure if he's in a transfer spot or not, but another big incident. 999's going to get sent around. No way he's transferring now, but Ernie Williams Jr., he's going to come through the top side at 3 and 4, come across the timing beam, and he's going to win this C main. We've just watched 2 different people, Justin, go from the race lead to not continuing their run tonight.
Yeah, this is just absolutely unbelievable and shows that, yeah, a lot of people wanted to see this kind of wild ability with this one, and somehow Ernie Williams Jr. ends up working his way through, coming up with the victory with throughout all of this. Chris Brunner put it the best way, I think. Hell of a race. Wow.
So with that, we are going to talk to your race winner of Ernie Williams Jr., as we have him now in the race spot booth. Ernie, I don't know how you managed to do it. I don't even know where you came from in the grid. Let me just see if I can sort of, you started 2nd in the grid, so it's not like you ran through the field, but my oh my, it seemed like no one who was running up near the front of that C main there wanted to win that one. We saw 2 people go from the front to not transferring.
Nice.
Oh, he's very happy about that. Go ahead, Ernie.
It was a good race. We was 3 wide right there. I didn't know if I wanted to sneak in there at the beginning. You know, I think they said they was taking like 8 or something, so I didn't know if I wanted to sit back. But my car felt good, so I got on the high side there a little bit, and it worked out pretty good.
Well, Ernie, you, of course, taking the win in the C main, that's going to give you a fantastic starting position for the B. That's going to be a 14-lapper, and the top 14 will transfer from that one. You thinking, you feeling confident that you can get yourself into the feature tonight?
Yeah, that was the goal tonight, to make the feature. I mean, there's a lot of tough guys out here. There's 10, 15 guys out here that if you can say that you beat them on any given night, you're doing something.
Well, Ernie, we're going to let you go. We got to continue on with the show. Good luck to you, and hope to see you run strong. Well, let's say make and then run strong in that feature event tonight.
Thank you, guys.
So just taking a look back at the post-race results of that C main, the top 8, Justin: Ernie Williams, Greg Thompson, Dave Flick, Doyle Lawrence. He quietly lurked his way up there, didn't he? Johnny Smith, Derek Layton, Stephen Hill, and David Jones. But I think importantly here, Doug Wyatt, Scott Marr, Todd LeBoux, Scott Bellum, Emian Miller, and Craig Levan. 2 of those 4 names were leading that race at one point. and they aren't transferring.
Yeah, that's absolutely unbelievable, but it kind of, in some cases, some races, there's something I guess you can call the leader curse. In this case, it was kind of that situation where a lot of times, as said, the fastest way around has been the high side. Both of those cases, they ended up scraping off the side wall and losing a ton of time and ended up leading up and building up damage from trying to ride the cushion. So in the end, for Wide and Mar, that finished off their day for today.
So next bit of action, we're coming at you. We still have the B main coming up in a few moments, but before we do that, we have the trophy dash that we have to do, and it's going to be invert of 6. So the top 6 starting positions, the way they were initially, so the way this works is you get the 10 drivers from the heat races, top 2 go to the trophy dash, the race winners, and then the second place cars, of course, they get put into an order, and then it was Tim Smith, Chris Brenner, Nate Davis, Max Stambaugh, Alex Bergeron, Rob Kurtsetter, Trev Royer, Dave Helleman, Brad Nichols, and Derek Fisher were the 10 drivers. They then pull a number basically out of a hat, and that number that comes out is the number that is inverted. We just pulled a 6, so Robert Kurtsetter will roll off in first, Tim Smith will go down to 6th, and then so on and so forth. So if you're Robert Kurtsetter, it has to make you pretty happy that you not get a nice freebie to the front row of this trophy dash, Justin.
Yeah, that's definitely got to help you out for sure, because not only, of course, does it leave you as the control car for the start of the trophy dash, but it allows you to, if you get a good enough start, to clinch your way up to the cushion, because that was how he really was able to sync it up, where he was able to get up to the cushion and ride it up, and as we've seen in his heat. So if he can do that for this time and pull away in what's going to be an absolutely challenging one on this very slick track, it will be a good situation for him. But of course, you got a lot of names to worry about. You got Tim Smith, Alex Bergeron, a lot of drivers, that's for sure, that can make a run on the inside, as we've seen, and be able to make it work.
Yeah, this is going to be an entertaining trophy dash to watch as they're getting ready to get all the cars out there right now. People starting to climb into those machines. I see Nathan Davis, I see Alex Bergeron, I see Brad Nichols and David Heileman rolling himself out there, Mad Max Stambaugh as well, as we're getting ready to bring you the, I don't want to say, but the third to final race in this one tonight. Is things are starting to pick up, starting to get deeper in the running order of events tonight. Chat on YouTube starting to get a little bit entertaining. Smith and I think Stambaugh made a little bit of contact on pit road. That's always entertaining, as race control's got to get these guys sorted and get these guys in the right order here. As I think there's a little bit confusion from some of these guys as they're all now fanning out, trying to, okay, I need to be on the inside row, I need to be here, blah 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 blah. Yeah. It's like musical chairs down there right now.
Yeah, they're all trying to figure out the grid that you're seeing on your screen, because Rob Kettlesetter, of course, is starting on the front row. Then you have Alex Bergeron starting on the outside to set up that advantage, with Max Stambaugh and Nate Davis behind them, and then Chris Brenner, Tim Smith, Trevor Royer, David Heileman, Brad Nichols, and Derek Fisher. The main person you see was Heileman with the musical chairs, because he had to shift all his way back from near the front all the way back to 8th, having to go from first gear to reverse, back to reverse, and so forth.
So, as they pace out their most competitive cars of the night, 12 laps to sort out the top 12 starting positions for this A main that'll be coming at you probably in about 20 minutes time. Who, Justin, is your pick?
Well, my pick right now, I think it's got to be Alex Bergeron, because I think he can make a big-time challenge on Kettlesetter, regardless of him being on the inside and having the control for the start. So I think Bergeron, once things get going, might be able to, on 3 and 4, be able to stick it, and if he can stick it, be able to pull away a little bit, enough from the chaos that's going to be happening here in this trophy dash. As they're underway, green flags out, and we start this one off.
Kurtsetter looks down to the bottom. Nothing to lose for these guys. You see one driver in the background stumbling, but Alex Bergeron going to muscle his way up top. We saw him move Dylan Selman in Friday Night Dirt Night at Williams Grove, and Alex slotted that car in a very narrow gap. He's going to lead the end of lap number 1 of 12. Everyone fanning out still. 2 wide, 3 wide, top side of the racetrack, still being strong. And Nate Davis, he's lurking on the 27er Kurtsetter.
Yeah, right now you see dropping back, in fact, all the way back a little bit behind Stamble, losing some time. Chris Brenner able to make the slide job work for 4th as they are now 2 wide, digging very deep. Stamble almost made it 3 wide.
Oh, we got cars around. Brad Nichols, he's upside down in 3 and 4. Tim Smith is sitting there as well. So we're going to get a caution here on lap number 3. I think it's going to be the end of lap 3. I'll get confirmation with race control, but a big incident there that had a couple cars on their lid.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay. Just bounced off the wall and flipped over multiple times. And there was another flip car. We're going to have to find out where that one is. Of course, a bit of trouble behind that was Trevor Royer as well. So multiple drivers on that one lap getting in trouble, specifically the biggest that one. That's how, of course, Royer got stopped. And, of course, you have that final flip.
So just waiting for word as they're going to be getting everyone back in their running order. Alex Bergeron, easy to get him where he's supposed to be, as he is, well, way out in front pretty much with that one. There was so much fighting happening behind him, and he's going to just nicely and calmly run out there. And talking about that, I mean, stacked field here like you'd expect from the Trophy Dash, at least the way they use it here. That 12 car to have the lead that he did, that was a huge jump from Bergeron on that race start.
Yeah, it absolutely was, because usually we see the car that's in first on the restarts able to get a good enough restart to be able to get back to the high side. That time, Bergeron timed it out perfectly to be able to keep it side by side, and Kettlesetter was unable to get enough momentum on the low side to get the slide job to get in front of Bergeron. Bergeron took advantage, and Bergeron, of course, now in the lead at this point because of that.
With that said, still a lot of fast cars behind him as we're getting ready to get that restart here. Not going to be getting it this time through. Going to be doing one more pace lap around this place. Now, of course, one of the drivers that we need to keep an eye on is that 38 of Tim Smith. He's been cycled down to the back of this order. He was your pole sitter tonight, and they're going to be going to green with 9 laps to go in this one. So Bergeron, will he be able to hold on as they work themselves down this back straightaway? Or will Nate Davis, who's done a good job to come from 3rd and pick up that 2nd spot, will he have something for it in that lime, yellow, and black machine? Pace car on pit road if there was one, and people trying to jump the start from the mid-pack are not sure what they're doing. That's going to cause a huge issue. They're going to fade out 3 wide across the stripe. That's what happens when you're too aggressive. Bergeron, he's going to hold on to the lead. Davis takes 2nd, and Kurtsetter, he's fighting for 3rd, which hit Chris Brenner.
Yeah, Chris Brenner unable to make it stick on the bottom side, as there's going to be a lot of lost time on the inside. Bergeron had a check up. Car in the wall, though.
Davis.
Nathan Davis almost was able to make it stick on the outside to get by Bergeron with the mess up, as we got a big time shutting the door in the middle of the pack on Davis.
We're down to 7 laps to go as Bergeron is still trying to hold his race lead, but they're 4 wide for that race lead in the Trophy Dash. Robert Kurtsetter to the 27. I think he's going to hold on to it as he slides back up. The 83 of David Heilemann is going to cut the cutback from Alex Bergeron. Still, everyone fighting for this race lead. 3 wide again, Max Stambaugh. I don't know what that was. I think that was the silliest slider I have ever seen for that number 24 car. He just dove it into the inside. I don't know what Max was thinking.
I don't know. That's going to basically end up Bergeron's race just about where he was at. Bergeron having to go in the pits. Let's take a look at this. There's the difference between a good job, slide job, and a bad slide job. That time, it was a horrific slide job going tire to tire. So that's going to take 2 drivers out. Let's take a look at this again.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're going to be one of the drivers who gets into these trophy dashes, you have to be more aware than that. He would have seen out in front of him that those guys were 2 and 3 wide, and they've been so. There's no way you're going to be, you're going to have that much room to slide up the racetrack like that. So maybe a little over his head there for Max. I'm not sure what's happened to the running order. You see Heilemann out in front. Kurtsetter to hold on to 2nd. Davis is okay there in 3rd, but we've lost a lot of our front runners here.
Yeah, this is going to absolutely change things because Bergeron, of course, was the favorite for this heat. So this completely flips things around. So you got to wonder, too, the cars remaining, how many of them still have damage here? As somebody just absolutely pulls away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, so, I mean, pretty much everyone. I think we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 cars out there on the racetrack for the 10 we had. We're going to have 6 to go here, and this one is David Heilemann Gonna be the happy camper, somehow survives, takes the race lead. Robert Kerstetter, he's still out there running strong. Nate Davis cycles back down to third, and I think Bergeron, I do not see him finishing last, where he's currently going to be restarting with 6 laps left to go.
Yeah, if he can handle what just happened, of course, and be able to recover enough to move his way through, use the bottom side as well as the cushion, I think he can work his way back to the field. But the question is, how much is the damage, potential damage, I should say, going to impact him here on this restart especially?
So, running it through 3 and 4. After that Friday night slider, people are going to get on that go pedal. David Heilman going to take that race lead with 6 laps left in this one. Down to the bottom for David as Nathan Davis wants the second spot from Robert. Nathan gets a little bit loose, and that's going to drop him back to third. Stacking up behind him, though, as Robert gets back down low to the inside as Alex is trying to move his way forward, and David is broken away with this race lead. Contact for second as Robert's fighting with Nathan Davis for that second spot.
Yeah, absolute fighting up there. Nathan Davis using the cushion, but still sliding up Istanbul. But look at Bergeron right now, using the high side, trying to find any opening he can. Now has to move back to the cushion as a huge collision, as that is Kerstetter as well as Smith colliding for a split second.
3 laps to go. They're 3 wide in the background. Nathan Davis has the race lead over David Heilman with 2 laps left to go. Down this back straightaway for Nathan Davis, and he's trying to work that top side. Bergeron's not been able to run through this field. He's picked up a couple spots, though. His wife's going to be out. David Heilman's out of gas. We saw him do this in Friday Night Dirt Night a while back. Had a race feature win lined up, came off corner number 4, and ran out of fuel. He does so here. He's going to start from about 8th or 9th place for the feature event, and Nathan Davis, he's going to cycle through, and he is going to continue to lead here through corners number 1 and 2. Car in the wall of Tim Smith through corners number 1 and 2 as well. He's going to hold on to that second spot, though, as Nate Davis, he's going to run out of gas as well. People pushing the limits on their fuel economy, and because of that, Tim Smith will be gifted a win. Oh my, Justin, how did we just see fuel mileage matter in a 12-lap race?
Well, because of all the incidents, because of all the times we had to go on the pace laps, there's a few drivers that probably calculated it to maybe just fill it up for the 12 laps, maybe 13 laps of fuel, and in the end, it just ran out in the end because of so many laps, draining that down. You've seen for the few drivers that ran out, strategy for getting less weight in the car did not work out, and less fuel, I should say, and Tim Smith able to capitalize on top of that.
We are stood by with that number 38 car of Tim Smith. Tim, you were running, I think, 3rd or 4th with about 2 or 3 laps left to go. And then David Heilman dropped out due to fuel. And coming off that final corner, Davis ran out of gas as well. You just got gifted a Trophy Dash win, and you'll be bringing them to green for the feature. How are you feeling in that 38 car pole and then the pole into the A main?
I'm pretty excited about it. Definitely carrying the golden horseshoe around with me tonight. I really lucked out there, especially last corner I stuffed it in the fence, 1 or 2, and then he still ran out, so it worked out.
Now, talking about that, I've seen people do that in the sprint cars for a long time. We've seen it on the Monday night broadcast where, let's just say, some politics came in order and some teams that no longer exist did some reprehensible things that have lost respect a lot of drivers. People like to push the fuel in the sprint cars. I mean, it's only has to be probably 4 to 5 gallons to make things safe, even if you get a lot of cautions for an event like this. Why don't people run those 4 to 5 gallons? The pace difference, I mean, yeah, I know it's going to be there. These cars are so light, but surely the pace difference isn't enough to warrant having the opportunity, like we just saw from 2 people there, to start on the front row of the main versus starting 5 or 6 rows deep.
Yeah, I definitely threw a couple extra gallons in it because I was really worried about being some cautions like that. You know, it does make quite a bit of difference, especially in these 360s. It seems the less fuel you can run, it really helps you out, especially when all these real fast guys are so close. But I just threw a couple extra gallons in it just to be safe, and it really worked in my favor.
Well, thank you for joining us, Tim, once again. Congratulations. You are having one hell of a night here in round 2 of the American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Series, quickest in qualifying, and then winning this Trophy Dash as well. Good luck to you in the feature. I honestly think the way that the I think the way that people are racing that trophy dash, as long as you can just get out in front, you might be able to break away.
Yeah, hopefully I can just stay out front and stay out of the chaos and have a smooth night.
So that was Tim Smith in that number 38 car. As boy, oh boy, we're going to be bringing you the rest of the action. Trophy dash results on your screen. Tim Smith is the race winner. That I don't think is correct, Hugo. Did Alex somehow finish second?
Yes, he actually did. When we were showing that, Alex Bergeron, I just had to check this myself. With all the cars starting to run out of fuel, he was at when one lap to go came around in 5th or 6th. Was able to keep it on the high side, exiting 3 and 4, coming to the white flag, made a couple more passes, and ended up getting the 2nd spot. So, Alex Bergeron, my goodness, is what I only think I can really say from that.
I completely missed that. What a move there from the 12, getting that 2nd spot. Robert Kurtstetter in 3rd, Brenner 4th, Fisher 5th, with Trevor Royer, Nate Davis, David Heileman, Max Stambaugh, and Brad Nichols rounding out the rest of the field. And boy, oh boy, what a trophy dash that was. That's going to make for a very, very interesting feature in this one tonight. I think Bergeron getting that 2nd spot, considering the pace he had in the early stage of that trophy dash, I think that 12 car is going to be a force to be reckoned with from Tim Smith when we go green, because he somehow went from the last running car to 2nd place on that last lap, and not everyone ran out of fuel. That was splendid by Alex.
Absolutely splendid. So we're going to see how he does in the last couple of races and events here for tonight. That's for sure, but I think we're just about set to go for our next main.
That we are going to be getting the B main lined up here for you in just a moment. As you can see, there is a lot of race cars down there on the racetrack, and let's go down your starting grid for this one. 18 cars, 14 laps, 14 transfer in this one. Anthony Lepresto going to be starting out in front with CJ LeVere on the outside of that front row. Brad Speidel and Derek Walker will make up row number 2, with Austin Selman and Brock Garris row 3. Terry Renner and Brandon Steele row 4, with Michael Sheridan and Nick Cooper rounding out your top 10. Ernie Williams and Greg Thompson row number 6. David Flick and Doyle Lawrence row number 7. That is your bubble spot right now, is Doyle in that 14th spot. Johnny Smith and Derek Layton row number 8, with Stephen Hill and David Jones rounding out the 18 cars in this one. This Eldora Speedway, Justin, we've seen a handful of cars out there starting to get really, really crowded.
Yeah, absolutely crowded. So we've seen the craziness that happened in the Trophy Dash, and we've seen the craziness in the C Main. There's even more cars, of course, here than the C Main. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys handle each other around this track and see who's conservative, who's aggressive with the pass attempts and with the slide jobs as we get all set to go down the backstretch.
Down this front back straightaway, as it's going to be all on Anthony Lepresto to bring him to the green in this one. Let's see what drivers will transfer here. Getting ready to start 14 laps of action around this one. Green flag flies. Anthony goes a little bit early, but he's going to have a big gap because of it. You have CJ LeVere up top middle. You have Brad Speidel almost on the bottom, 18 of Austin Selman. They're going to fan out 3 wide for second, and Austin's going to make it 2 cars in 1 down that back straightaway into 3 and 4. Austin's digging in the 18.
Very much digging and making it work, going and fit as close to the wall as he can, almost all the way to the brim. Trying to use that as his advantage as we got a car stopped in collisions in 1 and 2.
Yeah, there were a couple cars around deep in the field. I think they pulled themselves off the racetrack. This is Greg Thompson in that number 15 car. Let's see what happened. 313 car. Let's see what happened to him. That was a contact with Ernie Williams Jr., who, if I remember right, won one of our the C main just a little bit ago. That 91 car got a big contact. He's still out and rolling with that 313 car with a big, big impact for Thompson.
Yeah, and the bad luck you see there as well, coming right on behind. Just unable to really avoid that Doyle Lawrence. So just nothing really that can be done there with it being in full quarter entry, and you have a car sitting in the middle of the track. So bad luck for Lawrence to be basically a bystander or victim, so to speak, from that.
So field rolling themselves out. We're going to have 14 laps to go. So Looks like that lap did not count. As we're going to be, I don't know if we're going to be getting a full field reset or not. Cars are rolling themselves back out, so maybe. Lawrence is rolling down on pit road without a front wing. But regardless, still a lot of pacing out there right here, right now. I think they're just waiting to get the cars back out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, right now they're just gonna try and conserve fuel too, because they probably seen what happened in the trophy dash, and maybe a couple of them added a couple extra gallons in case there's a fair amount of incidents. We're gonna see, I think, especially if there's a second or third incident, who were the ones that added that extra gas to make sure they don't have what happened in the trophy dash happen, as they believe we're approaching the 1 to go signal.
Yeah, we should be, I think, getting the 1 to go right here. I don't know. If it were me, I would damn near fill the car up, I think. I know these cars hold 30 gallons of gas. The 360 is generally a little bit more economic than the 410s. The 410s around these half-mile ovals will burn a gallon per lap. It's probably a little bit less for these cars, but still, I know the weight matters, but you get a handful of these caution laps. You don't want to be spending a lot of time down there on that pit road. And you certainly don't want to be if you get cautioned, you don't want to run out of gas as a TLDR, as we saw a number of people get bitten by that. Now let's see, I believe we're going to be getting a restart here with 14 to go from single file. So Cody Olsen making the decision on this one. If we get some incidents from 2x2 racing, or if he doesn't have the confidence, he will do this, and indeed we will. Green flag back out, 14 laps on the board, and Anthony Lepresto will lead him into 1 and 2 as Selman is starting from the second spot. Brad Speidel, he's going to roll him off from that 4th position. He gets down to the bottom immediately.
Yeah, and he's got Nick Cooper coming along with them. A few drivers already using the bottom of 3 and 4, trying to get as much sliding as they can as Cooper. Going to keep it 2 wide, but can't get enough momentum. In fact, does get a lot of momentum because it's now 3 wide above him.
3 wide for 4th, and Austin Selman is going to take that race lead. Coming off of corner number 4 with 12 laps remaining. This one, top side of the racetrack, you still have Anthony Lepresto trying to work momentum, but Austin's got that number 18 hooked up. Still the fight is on for 3rd between Nick Cooper and Derek Walker. 335 car trying to work the bottom, but no, Walker's got pace up top.
They're using the cushion, but Cooper, he's starting to really make the bottom work in this heat, and he's getting better runs as the race is going on for this heat. On the bottom side, it's going to work. Almost able to put the slide job. Might be able to do it out of 1 and 2.
We got a car around. It's Derek Layton. I'm not sure if they're going to call the yellow. He's going to tow it off, so I think we stay green as everyone else still out there on the racetrack circulating. As Thermelman going to come across the timing beams and come again a lap number 5 of 14. Still see him working the bottom. That's interesting to me, Justin, that people are starting to go down there. We've seen all night people liking that middle to top groove of the racetrack. I think it might be starting to go away.
I think so too, because that was something we talked about early on, is as the race goes on, that cushion starts to go away. And I think in this B main, this is where exactly it's going to go away. So drivers are starting to notice that, starting to adapt, as Nick Cooper is actually gaining more and more time from using the bottom side.
So Cooper sees that Austin's down there trying it. He's going to try it as well as they work themselves through quarters number 3 and 4. Now Austin goes back to the top in 3 and 4, so maybe he just went down there to do some exploring and see how he liked it, but he's back to the bottom in 1 and 2, so maybe the bottom's better down that end of the racetrack, but might be the top side for 3 and 4.
Yeah, and you see that some drivers are still using that top side, but you got to remember, the shiny stuff is, of course, where there's no grip. And of course, you're seeing that much of the grip is starting to go away on the higher side. So Nick Cooper's still using the high side, but most of these drivers starting to revert back to the high side with a few laps to go.
I think we got a caution here as Nathan Davis, Michael Sheridan, car very similarly colored. He was upside down in 1 and 2. Not sure what happened to that 34 car. Big contact with, I believe, was that the 91 of Ernie Williams? I think, well, no, he did it all by himself. I think the 91 got a piece of it, but...
No, pardon me for cutting you off. That is David Flick that you were seeing there, as in the Looney Tunes car, had a situation, got ran over, flipped onto the side. He's done.
Oh, we had 2 different incidents then. We had the 56, because if you look right behind the 56, about a lap earlier, the 34 car coming onto the front straightaway, he drove himself into the outside wall, went upside down. So I think that's the confusion there, Justin. No fine, just fine interrupting me. I think we had 2 different incidents come from similar parts of the racetrack. And then we had a third incident because they were 3 wide trying to get past that first flipping car. And we got, I think Doyle Lawrence got big contact with the 127. We just lost a lot of cars and a lot of very separate incidents.
Yeah, I don't know what to really say as we look at this 3 wide situation, as the car in the middle just veered to the right, I think, when he noticed that, and that led to the contact you see on your screen. So maybe just press the gas a little bit in a little panic and it sent the car a bit to the right. I'm not really sure what would have really triggered that veer to the right.
So we're going to have 5 laps to go in this one, and Austin Selman has that race lead out there just in that 18 car. He needs to ensure a good finish. And you know Nick Cooper wants to get a big run and try to take that second spot away, as they're going to form him back up 2 wide, I think, on this restart.
Yeah, going to go 2 wide, as Semmelman has been the one able to really make the bottom side work from the get-go. And of course, with the bottom side really starting to become faster, it'll be interesting to see if he can hang things on. They're going to go around, I think, one more time here, though.
Trying to get a car count for you guys here, because always relevant to know. We have, I can't find a good camera angle. Let's see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cars running and 14 cars transfer. So you see a handful of beat up cars in the background. Those drivers are out there circulating because they know that as long as they finish, they have a chance at the feature tonight. Well, they will be in the feature tonight. Pace car coming down pit road. If it were out there, I always do that. Selman gets on that go pedal. He's going to be going out there to big lead. Nick Cooper immediately hops to the second spot in that number 335 car. He rolls the bottom with Selman. I think he's going to have that second spot. 4 laps to go when they get to the stripe.
And you see Selman still going on the bottom side, trying to separate, but you see Cooper, he's been able to work it on stronger and stronger on the bottom side, and he's now closing up. There is a couple cars around, but I believe we're still going to keep on going.
Yes, Brock Garris, who slowed down that back straightaway right now. The fight's on for second. Anthony Lepresto is throwing it on the inside of Nick Cooper. Going to try to slide it very close between those two as they're wheel to wheel, but Nick Cooper is going to hold on to that second spot. And there's going to be 3 laps remaining in this one. Off down the front straightaway. They come off corner number 4. Anthony Lepresto might fall into Derek Walker.
And Walker couldn't make it stick on the bottom, trying to go towards the brim. And this time, let's see if it works. No, this time, in fact, he loses even more time. This is going to open up the door for a battle for 4th.
And that's it. So that is it. I'm not sure if I may have gotten some info that I misinterpreted, so sorry about that. I think that that might be a miscommunication on my part. But regardless, Austin Selman wins the B main, as I just inadvertently threw you under the bus, Justin. I hope you don't hate me for life.
No, I don't. No, I don't at all. Oh, but it was definitely a competitive race for sure for this B main. I think Selman and Nick Cooper gave a lot for these drivers to think about for the A main, that's for sure. Because, as mentioned, that cushion's starting to go away big time for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how things go out.
So with that, Austin Selman winning the B main, we're going to get a hold of him right here, right now. And we are stood by with Austin Selman. Austin, fantastic run from you in that B main. We didn't see you in qualifying. You just missed out in your heat race, being able to make the trophy dash and potentially get out there out in front for the feature. So you're going to have to start about mid-pack. How many cars do you think you can get up there? I think it's going to be hard fought for you trying to win this thing.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be tough. Kind of a last minute thing for me to jump in here tonight. I'm thankful the ADS guys let me do it, so it's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, 35 laps of action. I know that the 410s around these big tracks, they tend to suck up about a gallon a lap around basically all of the racetracks that we have. The 360s, a little bit more fuel efficient because there's a little bit less American ponies underneath them. How are you feeling about being able to do 35 laps around this place if we go green? And especially considering the fact that it's closer to 42 because we have the 5-lap pacing system that they use here on top of the 2 laps of standard pacing we get. So how much fuel are you going to take on board that number 18 car?
A lot. I don't know how much.
All of the fuel?
I don't know about all of it. I honestly don't know, to be honest. Like I said, I jumped in here so late. I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants. I have no idea how they run things here. I'm kind of just going where they tell me. So hopefully I guess the right number, and hopefully we can get up front.
Well, there were a number of drivers that guessed wrong in the trophy dash, and because of that, they ended up starting. They're only going to be starting a couple rows in front of you instead of being out near the front. But good luck to you, Austin, and going to be fun watching that black number 18 VLR machine run through the field.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully everybody enjoys it at home.
So it's going to be interesting to see what Austin does. He's not going to put all the fuel in that car. I think I would, though, Justin.
Yeah, I think I would too. There are some that would say, you know what, I try and risk, say, 18 gallons, but you don't know what's going to end up happening in this situation because, yes, you do have a car that's going to handle much more differently with less fuel in the car, of course, but if you have a fair amount of incidents and you run out of fuel with, say, 3 laps to go or 2 to go, then it puts you at the major disadvantage. So I think it's better to play on the safe side of being conservative for this A main to make sure you have enough fuel to be able to make it to the finish and put yourself in the situation to be able to have a great finish.
So a little bit of a driver's meeting happening right now. Blake Derflinger has a problem with American ponies, so you guys can thank him when Elon Musk takes over the world with electric vehicles and reusable rockets. So you can file all your complaints into him at Blake Derflinger at iloveelectricvehicles.com. I think that is Blake's email, right?
You gotta tell me. You gotta tell me. That's all I can say.
So, feature event coming at you, and it's going to be a good one. They have the finishing order from the B main. Now up, we can tell you who all did and did not transfer. Race winner, Austin Selman, as we said. Nick Cooper slots into the second spot. Going to be fun watching that car run through the field. Anthony Lopresto in third, with Derek Walker fourth, and CJ LeVere in fifth. Ernie Williams gets himself the sixth spot. Brad Speidel in seventh. Dave Jones in eighth. Mike Sheridan in 9th, and Terry Renner rounds out your top 10. Doral Lawrence 11th, Brock Garris 12th, Dave Flick in 13th, and Brandon Steele in 14th. Those are the drivers that transfer to the feature tonight, with Greg Thompson, Johnny Smith, Derek Layton, and Stephen Hill. Those 4 drivers will be packing it up and going home after this one. So the feature event coming up here in just a moment. It's going to be a good one, I think. Who's your pick for the feature when we eventually get there, Justin? You've seen a lot of names. As Cody's joining us, I'm not going to go to Justin. Sorry. Cody Olson, what do you got for us?
I don't know. You got these top 6-8 guys are super fast, and even the guys beyond that, like Simmelman, Cooper, Lopresto, Walker, all those guys coming up from the B. Dude, you're gonna have one hell of a race here. Top 14 cars are all relatively like a half a tenth from each other. I think it's going to be amazing. If I had to pick one, I might have to go with the Dark Knight, Nate Davis.
He's going to go with Nate Davis, and Nate, I know, is helping with some of the race control responsibilities tonight, so I think a little bit of bias coming there from Cody as Nate is helping him out. And I was going to send you the PM anyways, but are we going to get a break before we go to that feature, or are we going to just dive right into it?
Yes, sir. We're going to get a break. We got about 2.5 minutes so here before we'll go ahead and roll it over and go to the A main.
All right, so with that, we're going to step aside for a couple minutes on RaceSpotTV, catch our breath, then maybe get a quick snack, and then we will be back for the feature event from the second round of the American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Series live from Eldora. It's been a fantastic night of racing thus far. Be there when we go green for the feature.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the cars. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, you know, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, you know, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Well, this is it. This is what all the action tonight has been building towards on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. American Dirt Series round number 2 from Eldora. Been a fantastic night of racing action in this one, and well, we got to put all these cars out on the racetrack, put 35 laps on the board, Justin, and have these guys unleash themselves at Eldora. Who's your pick?
I think my pick right now is the top pick might be Alex Bergeron right now. The way he was able to rebound from incidents during that trophy dash to go all the way from having to restart in 8th, around 9th, all the way back to 2nd. He's in a great position for this A main starting in the front row. Let's take a look at those grids, why don't we?
Take a look at the grid right now as the field is getting ready to get themselves set. Tim Smith, pole sitter in qualifying, and managed to just squeak away with a trophy dash win. He'll be on the inside of that front row with Alex Bergeron, Justin's pick, on the outside of that front row. Rob Kurtzetter, and I think my pick for tonight going to be that 4th place starter of Chris Brenner. He had a little bit of bad luck last week. I think he's going to put it all together, finish this one strong. Derek Fisher and Trevor Royer, they're going to make up row number 3. Nate Davis and Dave Heileman on row 4 with Max Stambaugh and Brad Nichols, row 5. Austin Selman and Nick Cooper, those two drivers dominated the B main. I think they're going to finish inside of the top 10. I think they have potential for a top 5. Can they get some well-timed cautions to help them out? And will they risk it with the fuel to have a very, very quick car and potentially run through this field very quickly? Anthony LaPresto and Derek Walker make up row 7 with CJ LeVere and Ernie Williams Jr. row number 8. Brad Speidel and David Jones make up row 9 with Mike Sheridan and Terry Renner rounding out your top 20. Doyle Lawrence and Brock Garris make up the 21st and 22nd positions with David Flick and Brandon Steele rounding out the 24 cars in this one. Now, if you're not used to watching the American Dirt Series, as I have done such a long intro that Hugo has to cue up the second bit of sound effects. 7 laps of pacing here in this one. First 2 laps, you're going to see the cars maintained 2 wide, and because we do things a little bit oddly in the American Dirt Series, you're going to see 5 laps where Race Control gets this entire field in order. So these guys are going to have about 4 or 5 minutes from now to sit there, think about the next 35 laps of racing they're going to have to try to sort everything out, Justin.
Yeah, they got a lot to think about and a lot of strategy because they got to account for how many incidents, of course, there might be. They got to account for how things are going to shift around with that top wing. And, of course, with how much fuel they may or may not have put in, how the car's going to handle, because the more fuel in the car, of course, the looser it would be for these sprint cars. So as they get going, they got a lot to think about.
The field's going to be rolling themselves off. Fireworks and incinerators going there on the front straightaway. I don't think those are actually incinerators, but it'd be pretty wizard if they were. And all these guys going to be thinking about what's going to happen. It's been an entertaining night thus far, and it's been a hectic night thus far. And what do you think you're thinking there, Justin, if you're in those machines? What are you thinking if you're Austin Selman, arguably one of the, well, I won't say arguably, he is one of the best sprint car drivers on the sim. We've seen him be dominant in Dirt Night. We've seen him be dominant in the World of Outlaw Monday night broadcast we used to do. What do you think's going through his mind as he's going to be rolling off basically from the middle of the field in 11th?
I'm thinking I gotta make sure I gotta make sure I get out of the chaos, so to speak, because it's going to be, as some call, the hornet's nest, to be in that middle part of the field. There's going to be a lot of drivers either starting a bit of a struggle, trying to move through the field, or maybe going back through the field to be patient. So if I'm him, I'm thinking, be aware, be cautious, and time out things perfectly.
Now, what are you thinking if you're going to be one of those guys out in front? If you're Tim Smith, if you're Alex Bergeron, if you're Rob Kurtzitter. Alex and Rob finished first and second at the season opener at USA International a week ago. What do you think those two are thinking? Are they going to be rolling off second and third?
I think the main thing they're going to be thinking of second and third is time out the start properly, because you got, of course, the leader for being the control car, of course, for the start of the race in terms of how things are going to be, for one. For two, you got to make sure that you get a good run into turns 1 and 2 on the start of this race to be able to move your way through this field, to be able to stick up to the front of the field. And 3, you got to be ready for drivers to immediately try and make passes to make challenges early on in the race. So a lot to think about. Your head's going to be on an absolute swivel, I think, but I think the best of the best is going to be the ones who are able to concentrate enough to be able to handle the chaos at the front of everyone trying to come up behind you to be able to get a good position to get to the front.
So they're still out there and rolling. Going to have a handful more laps under the caution here, or under the, like what I affectionately call the green-yellow, as it's going to be the third one scored complete here in just a moment. Now, what are you thinking here, Justin, if you're one of these back markers? If you're someone like Doyle Lawrence, Terry Rennert, Mike Sheridan, Brock Garris, you know, if you're one of these guys starting deep down the order, the quote-unquote hornet's nest, as you described it, is going to be in front of you, and you're not going to have to do much looking in your, well, you don't have mirrors in sprint cars, but you won't be having to think about what's happening behind you nearly as often. How aggressive are you if you're one of those guys in back? Do you want to try to be aggressive and work your way to the front, or do you want to let calamity happen ahead of you?
I think let calamity happen ahead of you to make sure that if calamity does strike, that you're able to gain those spots and put yourself in a decent position. You have a couple times at calamity where you avoid said calamity. You're in the perfect spot where about halfway through the race, for example, you're ready to strike, so to speak, if you're at the near the back of the field right now. So just got to make sure you be conservative. You have the drivers, though, that are going to obviously want to push forward immediately, that think they're going to have enough speed to keep up. But they have to time it out near physical precision to make sure there is no bad slide jobs, no bad passes, no kind of contact whatsoever to cause a situation where it could cause damage and or end off your race in the early going if you want to go the aggressive route.
Lights are out on Wonder Woman's pace truck at the head of the field, and huge shout outs as always to the sponsors of the American Dirt Series: Shiloh Forestry, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, Kings of Dirt, and the CMF Motors Electric. A lasso of truth rains that pace truck down onto pit road, put 35 laps on the board, and put Tim Smith in command of the field, because the green flag is out, and we are racing in the feature of the American Dirt Series as they all storm off into 1 and 2.
Already off to a great start. You see Tim Smith on the outside pointing away very quickly. They're already 3 wide, though, going for the 4th spot already. Look at Trevor Royer as he's in the middle of a sandwich, able to make the move, but big spin in the middle of the pack.
Oh, we got a car upside down as well. Secondary incident also. That involved Robert Kurtzitter and a couple other cars. So early caution here in this one. We're only a couple laps into this one. Nathan Davis is on his side, and he is not going to be a very happy camper in that car. And talking about what can happen just from being a little bit too aggressive with the fuel in the trophy dash, Justin. We saw that 36 car at one point leading that trophy dash, ran out of gas, and he fell way down the order. He Well, that's just what can happen to you if you push the limit too much. He went from being out in front in this feature event to being in the mid-pack and upside down within the first 2 laps.
Yeah, and if you see the replay, Nathan Davis was just on the bottom here when I believe that was Robert Curbsetter, who had bounced off the wall about half a lap prior, came down from the high side, and in turn, bumping that, ends off his race. So absolutely bad luck for Nathan Davis, who was at one point one of the fastest sprint cars in the field.
So field out there and cruising. Alex Bergeron, well, he's holding on to that second spot. You know, he's going to be happy about that. Tim Smith up still in the race lead with Chris Brenner in third. Him and Rob Kurtz that are swapped spots around. I don't think we have any big movers really just yet. We only ran a couple laps of racing. Last running car is currently 83 of David Heileman on the lead lap. He's currently scored in the 23rd position. And you keep in mind that at one point David was a very fast car tonight as the pace truck's getting ready to come in. It's going to be interesting to watch that 83 run through the field as we're coming to green, Justin.
Yeah, coming on to green. Couple cars did take some fuel, I believe. Trevor Royer specifically going into the pits. Pace truck is off the track. We're underway. Back again. It's Tim Smith again with a nice start.
Bergeron's going to go down the middle. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Alex Bergeron going up the middle, having to back off. They're still right behind Bergeron. He's going to go to the bottom side, as you see, as a bit of a contact crashes in the middle of the field down the front stretch.
Car flipping. I'm not sure who that is as we see him flipping over and over. That's Austin Sebelman in the number 18 car, winner of your B main. Let's see what happened in this one as he's coming off corner number 4. No fault of his own. It was the 20 out in front of him of Derek Walker. Got put around the wrong way. That Raven Graphics machine got a little bit of a tap from Max Stambaugh. You can keep in mind we saw Max throw that big ill-advised, let's say, move in the trophy dash that caused a big incident. And, well, I don't really have any other way to say it. Max just chopped the nose off that 20.
Yeah, just absolutely chopped the nose off the 20, and it ends up with it being right down the center of the backstretch, being a bad situation. Let's take a look at this one more time from above to see this here. You see the chop off there going sideways. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different cars getting involved in this in the end, and a lot of different drivers now had to pull in for whether it is for fuel or for damage repairs because of this.
So Max Stambaugh, I think he's pulled it off of the racetrack. But regardless, it's been so much drama in this one.
Yes, so much drama indeed right now. You have to think of this too. If there are drivers that are involved or are the cause, I think the ruling is for 2 different incidents, they are told to park it. So that is something of a factor too if it does get a bit more chaotic as the race goes on. Probably not the mindset of the drivers right now, but something I think that might be something to look at later on in the race. And right now you can see them with Tim Smith up at the front pack right now. Brad Nichols still down the pit lane as well from that incident. But talk about what's going on really through this as we're back under green, pardon me. Going for the single file restart this time. Tim Smith on the high side. Alex Bergeron following him right on back. Chris Brenner in 3rd spot. They are very close up at the front pack. And a little bit of wall contact, I believe, for Tim Smith, as they are still going to have enough separation. Using the bottom side, meanwhile, Nick Cooper moving up into the top 5, trying to make the slide job work on Robert Kendall Center.
So still very aggressive from that 335 of Nick Cooper. Still trying to make the move on Rob Kurtsetter down along the inside of the racetrack. See another car trying to follow him through as well. Still up and tight for your race lead at the same time as Tim Smith continues to lead the way, closely followed though by Alex Bergeron and Chris Brenner.
Yeah, right now everyone getting things under control, a bit more separation now as Chris Brenner using that bottom side. He's going to pull up the slide job on Bergeron, but not a momentum. In fact, too much momentum to the point where it bounced off the walls and it's still bouncing off the wall.
A lot of physical racing here in this one as it's going to be 20 laps to go. Next time they get to that stripe. Chris Brenner working the top side of that racetrack. Still have a lot of people following in behind him as well. Max Stambaugh, Derek Fisher, Nick Cooper, Anthony Lopreto. Also have Robert Kurtzetter. He's still fighting down there in that mid-pack, but out in front, it's all that 12 car who's trying to reel in that 38 of Tim Smith.
And we got a caution
flies.
Yeah, and that's going to be for Brandon Steele upside down the middle of the backstretch. Let's take a look at the Race Spot TV replay for this.
So let's see what happened in this 05. Brandon Steele, I think he just basically caught himself on the back of the 00 David Jones's car. David went to the bottom and Steele went to the top. I think that's just two cars coming together. They went to the same bit of racetrack at the same time.
Yeah, I think so too. And right now, as you see, everything's slowing down here once again. Brandon Steele, yeah, just the same real estate leading to the flip and ending off Brandon Steele's night as well, just like that. So this is where I think the fuel mileage is definitely going to start coming into play, because we've already had our third incident of the race with that. So this is going to be where the fuel strategy for the race itself, with 17 to go, starting to really come up if you win for the aggressive strategy.
That it is, because you're going to be paid off with a very, very light race car as we get closer and closer to the end of this one. 16 laps left in this event as they work themselves through corners number 3 and 4. And it's all Tim Smith out there, as Rob Kurtzetter has fallen down the order, I think, pretty quick. But I think, importantly, Chris Brenner, he's still lurking out there in that third spot quietly here, Justin.
Yeah, Brenner was almost in the perfect spot to get second until he basically wall-ribbed the wall a little bit, bouncing off and up and down the wall along the cushion as well for about half a lap. So if he can basically take a deep breath and focus and try and make sure it's not as aggressive exit out of 4, he might be able to make the slide job work this time on Bergeron.
So pace truck getting ready to come down on towards pit road. Let's see. Tim Smith goes early again. Bergeron holds on to that second spot for now. But I think Chris Brenner is going to look to the inside. 84 car throws the move that Justin was talking about. Let's see if he can make that stick. No, going to be nowhere close enough. He's going to hold on to the third spot in the back. Stambaugh, he makes a big move for that fourth spot, fighting with Derek Fisher and I believe Nick Cooper down there on the bottom. They're fanning out 3 wide of the 24. Max Stambaugh falling into the clutches of Derek Fisher. Brenner still up to the top, but right now it's Bergeron and Tim Smith breaking away from the field. We got cars stopped in 1 and 2. David Jones, Terry Renner are the 2 that I see around.
And the caution coming out there. We'll see what happened on the replay. This was again in the Hornet's Nest, as again that number 20 got into a situation, and then the contact which led to the spin around. I believe that was David Jones who went around like a bottle top for a split second. Let's take a look at this again. As you see, going sideways for a second was the 20 machine of Derek Walker. Then you have the bottle situation. And now, luckily, minimum damage for most of these drivers involved in this spin. Let's take a look at this one more time.
Another look at the incident. You can see there's just a couple different things that happened at that same time. That 00 car of Derek Jones, David Jones, basically just up along the top of the racetrack. Seems to me Justin just got loose all by himself and lost that race car and slid down into that driver. Really not much you can do when you have someone do something like that.
Yeah, especially with the car sideways in the middle groove, just trying to get a better run, I think, off the exit. Just nowhere really to go in that situation in the end, so they're going to have to restack things up again. 12 laps to go.
So lights are out on the safety truck, and we are going to single file, and that is important because it's going to allow Alex Bergeron to tuck right under the rear Nerf bar of Tim Smith, and he's going to have less pressure from behind of the likes of Chris Brenner, Max Stambaugh, Derek Fisher, and Anthony Lopresto. Going to be much less stacked up for that number 12 machine. I think Alex, if he's going to take a risk of getting this race win and making it for 2 for 2, he's going to do it right here, right now. Safety truck on towards pit road. And Tim Smith gets on the gas pedal. Green flag back out in the feature event here tonight, round number 2 of the American Dirt Series. And a little bit of contact with the outside wall for Tim Smith. Bergeron struggling a little bit as Brenner has latched himself onto the back of that number 12 car through 3 and 4. And Smith slides through the slick right almost up into, jumping the cushion to the top side of the racetrack as we've got 8 laps left in this one.
8 to go, and you're seeing the very aggressive moves. Anthony Lopresto was one of those behind him. Alt Race shutting the door in the battle for fifth behind him. But for these three drivers, Bergeron waiting for the final moment to be able to time out the pass correctly, riding the cushion as high as they can, the top three.
Oh, Fisher's around on the back straightaway. He's going to save it. That was contact with. There's another white car, I think, the 57 machine of Anthony Lepresto, and then a big stack up in the back of their field. I think they're 3 or 4 wide. They're trying to get themselves sorted, but we stay green. No one actually went around. In your mid-pack is Tim Smith and Bergeron. Still fighting for the race lead is Chris Brenner. He's trying the bottom of the racetrack because Alex just had a big run up on the top. It's going to be 5 laps to go. Next time through is Tim Smith is trying to hold on for this feature win.
Yeah, going as high as they can, just inches away from the wall, and Smith just hit the wall.
Smith makes contact with that wall, and he's going to struggle here as Bergeron is going to take that race lead. Top side of the racetrack for him, and Smith makes a mistake, drops into P2. He is looking keen on making this 2 in a row, Justin.
Yeah, an absolutely big break there as we got a caution flag with 4 to go.
I think that's going to end it too. This is Doyle Lawrence, who's upside down, I think, in 3 and 4. Let's see what happened here. I think this is just an individual mistake for that 31 car. Indeed it was. He just sort of, well, drove it into the wall, didn't he?
Yeah, just drove it into the inside wall, trying to get the slide off the brim, I think. But it went way too inside. Bounces up, hits the outside wall. At least the flip that triggers the caution. And this could just about do it here, depending on the situation here.
So we're going to need, I think, a 1 to go signal right now if we're going to get this race restarted, and I don't think we're going to get it. There's currently lap number 34 of the 35 on the docket, and so with that is going to pretty much be it. Of course, not official because they have to make it to the end. That said, I'm not expecting anything to befall on Alex Bergeron, but Alex, it's a power move from him to get that race lead, Justin, and he makes it 2 for 2 in the American Dirt Series.
Yeah, very strong run, as you said, especially in these final laps. He got a little bit of luck with Tim Smith, but Tim Smith still made it much more challenging for him going to the bottom side because of the slowed up momentum he got to be able to tuck behind Bergeron. But in the end, Bergeron on that high line cushion, just able to time it up perfectly to where it wouldn't brush up against the wall right at the right time. And in the end, able to secure the 2nd straight victory to start off the season.
Alex has been on such a run on RaceSpotTV in these non-asphalt events. We've seen him be strong in both the late models and the sprint cars, both on Monday, Thursday, and Friday night last week. And right here, right now on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live, he is going to make it 2 in a row in the American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Series, and as they come across the stripe, he is your race winner, closely followed by Tim Smith, Chris Brenner, Max Stambaugh, and David Heilemann. They round out your top 5 in what was a very hectic and amazing feature event tonight.
Very hectic, but very exciting to call and very exciting to watch for the fans at home, that's for sure. As look at the pretty fireworks to end off this exciting, very exciting race.
So field pace stalls around, and let's see what Alex does. Alex going to go do some burnouts, or is he going to cut it on down towards victory lane? He's bringing it on towards the front straightaway. I think we're going to see that number 12 car not facing the correct way, and indeed he's going to throw it into the slick, pitch it to the left, and that number 12 drill spill machine is going to start, well, I won't say burn him down. I don't think he can really burn him down on dirt, but he's making a big rooster tail here in 1 and 2. And with that, let's go down your post-race results from the feature event here at Eldora. 38 cars took to the track tonight through qualifying, through the heat races, through the other mains, and 24 of them got to the feature, and Alex Bergeron was the best of them all. Tim Smith is going to come home in 2nd, with Chris Brenner in 3rd, Max Stambaugh 4th, and David Heilemann. You will round out your top 5. Nick Cooper in that 35 machine will finish 6th, Derek Fisher 7th, Anthony Lepresto 8th, Robert Kerstetter in 9th, and Brandon Speidel will round out the top 10. Ernie Williams will finish 11th, Michael Sheridan 12th, David Flick 13th, David Jones 14th, Brock Garris 15th, Terry Renner 16th. Those are the drivers who finished on the lead lap. more or less without incident. CJ LeBaire in 17th. Nathan Davis has to be thinking what could have been, as he was so close to winning that trophy dash, underfilled the car by just a smidgen, and because of that, he goes from starting on the pole in this feature race to starting in the mid-pack, and he gets taken out in one of the incidents. Doyle Lawrence finishes in the 19th spot with Derek Walker in 20th. Austin Stemmelman, I think he could have had potential to get out near the front, but issues tagged him as well. He'll finish 21st. Brandon Steele 22nd, Brad Nichols 23rd, and Trevor Royer rounds out the 24-car field in your feature event. Don't go away here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. We are going to step away, catch our breath, and bring you post-race coverage here in just a couple of moments. Be there.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Like a movie, just like a storybook. We are the future, we're the ones they won't overlook. It's time to be the hero.
Welcome back here to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live as coverage continues here from the American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Series, brought to you by the Kings of Dirt, Shiloh Forestry, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, and of course Wharf 1934 on Twitch. Here is, well, big night of action, and we got to get stood by with the man who made it 2 in a row tonight. That's the 12 car of Alex Bergeron. I am stood truck side with him. Alex, my man, it was a physical night of racing tonight in the feature. We saw you make some big moves this past week on Friday Night Dirt Night. You tagged Dylan Selman for a heat race win at Williams Grove, and you made a physical pass tonight to make it 2 in a row in this American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Championship. How are you feeling after this one?
Well, I mean, wish we could have been more on the green, but you know, it's a race, so we'll take it. Basically, I was just waiting behind Tim for the lead, and you know, he tagged the wall, and we were just passing him on the bottom and without touching him. So just yeah, I wish we could have been on the green though. Would have been very fun because the track was very slick, and that's what I like. So yeah, hopefully next week is gonna be better.
Talking about next week, we are going to the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville. These 360 sprints, I think they're going to put on an exciting show. We've seen the 410s there on RaceSpotTV. How do you think the 360s will race that place? Will it be the same that we basically see in the 410s? I think it might be a little different.
Well, I think it's a little bit larger at Knoxville, so maybe more green flag runs and more space between cars, and we got the berm at Knoxville as well, so it's gonna be a little bit tough for that. But the rest, I think, is gonna be very fun. So looking forward for that.
Of course, next week as well, Knoxville. You of course have a busy schedule. You have the late model series on Thursday. I suspect we're gonna see you Friday night, dirt night, your regular whatever racing you decide to do on the weekend. This Tuesday, NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series kicks off from Daytona, of course, as everyone should know. I believe I know we're going to see you in that series. How are you feeling around the 2.5 mile super speedway?
Well, I think it's next week. It's not Tuesday tomorrow. It's next week, but
yeah,
looking forward. Yeah, well, looking forward for with the drill spill team. We did the clash and we're unlucky in that, but I think we're going to be fast there, and hopefully getting a good start for the season, and hopefully we're going to have a good result.
Well, Alex, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on maintaining this amazing momentum you have on the iRacing service. You've been putting up some amazing results the last month or so. Before we let you go, any shout-outs? Who would you like to thank from that number 12 drill spill car?
Well, mainly the drill spill team, Ashton Crowder, their collective, their car racing, and Murr Inc., Tadarico Songs and Designs, and you guys for broadcasting. It's always fun. So thank you guys, and we'll see you for Thursday night, hopefully.
All right, Alex, we will talk to you later. You have a good evening, my brother. See you Thursday.
Thank you.
Now, moving on down the order, Mr. Justin Prince rounding out his first RaceSpot broadcast. He stood trackside with a 38. Tim Smith, P number 2.
Yes, Tim Smith coming in second in this one. Tell us what happened in those last couple of laps in that battle with Bergeron where you fell out of the lead with about 6 laps to go.
Oh, I just got a little close to the fence there. The end of the race, the line was, especially in 1 and 2, was just you had to be right on the fence, right on the naked edge, I reckon, basically every lap. Just got a little too close and stuffed it in the fence and gave it away to Alex. Just the way it goes sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, you had a strong race night tonight for sure in the heats, and as well in this coming away with the second. And though, how challenging was it to deal with the way the track conditions switched around as the races went on tonight, as well as some of the chaos going on behind you in some of these cases?
Yeah, the track was it was a huge challenge from the beginning. It was pretty much right out at the fence at the start of the A main. I was trying to kind of run a slider line through 3 and 4 just to give myself a little bit of a buffer on corner entry. You just couldn't. It didn't work down on 1 and 2, so you just had to run the wall and pray you didn't stuff it in there. And it just kept progressively getting closer and closer and closer until you had to be just about slapping the tank off the fence every lap. So it was definitely a treacherous race. I know some people behind me were struggling a little bit with it.
Yeah, of course. How much were you struggling with that, just to ask real quickly? I know you said the conditions were very tough to difficult. Again, what were the main struggles you had, so to speak?
Well, there was a bump was developing in the right by the flag stand that kind of really upset the car when you needed it to really be on point on corner entry, I guess. The car was really bouncing around, so I was trying to lift off as much as I could to keep it out of the fence, but still keep ahead of Alex because I knew he was breathing down my neck. Just came up a fuzz short.
One last question, of course, next week is Knoxville. Of course, Alex Bergeron in his interview mentioned the brim being one of the main things to be noteworthy between this race and into next week's race. What are your main thoughts going into Knoxville next week?
I'm pretty psyched about it. It's I think between Eldora and Knoxville, probably my 2 best tracks I run at. Really seem to be able to hit the lines pretty well there, so pretty excited about it. I know I got a pretty good setup for it. UW Motorsports should have a pretty good showing there.
Do you have anyone you like to shout out? Any teammates, any best friends, any pet cats?
Definitely all my teammates at UW Motorsports. Like I said, we had 5 guys in the top 10, so we had a hell of a showing here tonight. Cameron Colby at Colby's Eye Paints. He just signed him on as a sponsor to do all of our team paints. He does a hell of a job. Everybody, ADS, Cody and Blake, and you guys that live stream this deal for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the time, Tim. Tim Smith coming away with second today here in tonight's event. Randy?
So another big run for Mr. Tim Smith, and someone else who had another big run tonight. He didn't manage to put it all together last week at USA International, but it's that number 84 car coming home third place of Chris Brenner. And Chris, we're now stood by with you. That 84 car, you were quick last week, but some technical issues took you out of that feature, unfortunately, in that one 7 days ago. But tonight, you managed to at least put everything together, come away with the final step of the podium. How was your night of action from your perspective? And Chris, you got me?
I do. Sorry about that. Wrong
I'm
button.
not sure what happened. I don't know if you moved yourself back or if someone else did. I'll just yell at Justin about it. He's the new guy. He's the intern here at RaceSpot, so it's his fault. Anyways, did you hear the question?
Yeah. I'm happy with the third place there. Super stacked field. Worked out great qualifying up top there with Tim, and I had a decent trophy dash finish to put me in the fight for the win here tonight. I don't think I had anything for Tim or Alex tonight, but they were bumper to bumper for the last 10 laps or so there, and I was just I hate to say it, but I was praying for one of them to make a mistake and maybe get me back into the fight there, but it didn't happen. I can't be mad with a podium finish ever though, so I'm pretty stoked.
Now, talking about the format of this series, with the fact that typically the number of cars that carry directly into the feature is larger than we get in this one. The fact that they do what they do with the trophy dash, how stressful is that, knowing that you have to have the inversion somewhat go your way, and then you need to get a good finish from that dash? Because if you roll off P10, the chances of winning this thing week on week is going to be difficult. How much stress is there, not even in the feature, but in that 10-lap dash that happened somewhere around before or after the C main?
I really don't stress out too much about the trophy dash, honestly. You can win any of these races from 10th place. Starting from 10th, you need a little bit of luck on your side to get it done, but I think a lot of us as well, we just hang it all out there for that trophy dash and race as hard as we can. Wherever you finish, you finish.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. Before we let you go, any shout outs from that number 84 car?
Yeah, teammates, UW Motorsports, great showing tonight. Our new sponsor that signed on with us, Colby, at Colby's Eye Paints. You guys up in the booth, Randy, Justin, the rest of you guys do a fantastic job. It's one of the best broadcasts I've seen. And also ADS, Nate, Cody, Blake, hell of a job putting on this thing. Looking forward to next week going to Knoxville.
All right, well, thanks for joining us once again, Chris. Good luck at the sprint car capital of the world.
Thanks, Randy. Take care.
Well, Justin, I've been checking in on you all night. I know you've not done a lot of dirt broadcasting in the past, but you took to it quite well. How is it from your perspective?
I felt it was pretty good. The action, of course, was very exciting to call for both of us, I think, tonight. It took a little bit to get used to be honest, but I'm starting to feel really comfortable with this. Can't wait for the next race.
Next week is Knoxville, of course, and who do you think is going to be the driver you're looking out for? Is it going to be Alex? Is it going to be Tim? Or are you going to pull some name out of the mid-pack that had a bad night?
I think right now that at this point, I think the magic wand is going to start running out for Alex Bergeron on where he'll probably have a very strong race at Knoxville, but I think with Tim Smith, he might be trying to run as well as he can to make up for finishing second today. As he said, the best two tracks he has are Eldora and Knoxville. So if he can do a similar performance as he had tonight next week, Tim Smith, he might be able to break the 2-race winning streak Alex Bergeron has started to develop.
That is going to be the big question going into the sprint car capital of the world next week at Knoxville Speedway. And the big question also has to be, will the fact that the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series kicking off the day after that event, how will that affect Alex? How prepared will he be for Knoxville? Because of that, will he be preparing for Daytona? Regardless, that is going to do it for us here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. This has been the second round of your American Dirt Series 360 Sprint Car Championship. And as always, huge shout outs once again to all the sponsors: Shiloh Forestry, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, Kings of the Dirt, and CMF Motors Electric for everything you do for this championship and letting us put it on here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. If you're not done watching this championship just yet, well, that's too bad because we're done for the night, but we will be back on Thursday for the American Dirt Series Super Late Model Championship. They will be right here at Eldora Speedway at the same time, around 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Those Super Late Models put on a fantastic show, and that should be a good one. And of course, next week, Knoxville International Raceway. But until then, we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.